WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
this crazy fiasco going on.
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a super boring week, man. I don't know, man. It's slow news cycle. I just don't get it. I don't have anything to talk about. You got anything?
Not really. I mean,
it's just, I don't know, man. Weather's been nice. So this week we had Tuesday. We had an election. Oh my, David.
Did we?
David Ezio says, "I assume Koz had a beard." Wow. No, sir. No beard here. My job kind of prevents me from, well, it doesn't prevent me. It's the point from going from having no beard to having a beard, which is really difficult for me. It can happen. It just takes a little bit longer than most folks. It's not like I'm follically challenged. It's just, it doesn't happen as quickly as most normal. I don't know. I don't know what normal is. I work with a bunch of guys that are, They can shave. I work with one guy he was from Sri Lanka. He shows up clean shaven, and I'm serious. By lunchtime, it looks like he looks hungover. He's just got that really dark. He's dark complected, but he's just. It's amazing. And some guys, my engineer 5, the guy who's like he's our architect. He always grows a beard out for Christmas, and he starts in November, like mid-November. He'll stop shaving.
Shave November,
and he does the no shave November thing. But by Christmas, his stuff is like it's like yours. And a lot of people.
How mine works. Mine only get so long. Like I just recently trimmed it in his back. It's just.
Yeah. So no beard here on the Koz. This is my. That's about it, man. I shave every couple of days and try to keep a good physical presence for the folks that I work with and for. The appearances are most everything. Speaking of appearances, let's talk about this little election that we're going through. That hasn't usually elections last. They're like a day.
Yeah.
And this is what the day?
Oh.
See, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Friday, 4 days.
I'll give them Tuesday. I'll give them Tuesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So this is day 3. Well, day 4 because there's election day, and then to make a decision, it's usually the first that day. And that's the graphic. The graphic that I posted up earlier says the Chuck E. Cheese the Chuck E. Cheese ticket taker would have counted all these ballots by now.
Dear Lord, I was dying when I saw that. I was like, oh.
I saw that right before we went live.
If we had the Powerball committee, the guys that run the lottery, count our votes, it would be like instant. Because they know, like, as soon as someone wins the Powerball, they know what store they bought them at. They're like instant. Like,
it's like, yeah, which store, at what time, all that data pops up.
Yeah.
I've never been on that list either.
Oh, well. Either have I.
Friday. We are here. It's been a stressful week. I really didn't think. I've got kind of a monologue because I expected some of this to happen. I didn't expect this to happen, but I expected there to be a little bit of back and forth. But in the end, I really thought it was going to be a clear cut. This person won the presidency. Either Donald Trump was gonna blow the doors off of Joe Biden, or it would have been a close race, but Joe Biden would have been clearly the winner. That's not the case. There's so many inconsistencies and irregularities. I don't want to say voter fraud. I want to say there's just people who are in charge of this stuff are really fumbling, and it's this had the shoe been on the other foot, if if Donald Trump was almost winning, Biden was winning, and all of a sudden during the next morning, vote stopped. Apparently, you can stop voting, or you can stop counting votes because of reasons, and then start up the next day. But then when you start up the next day, there's an extra, 140,000 votes for the opposition. At 4
o'clock in the morning,
oh my gosh, what are those? We just found these in the glove box. I have no idea. It's just, and that's why I'm saying appearances. It's the appearances. Appearances mean things. I'm not seeing in these states that we're talking about, these 5 states. There are so many inconsistencies, and there's really, I'm not going to say there's no reporting on it, but the way in which it's being reported is almost like it makes it seem like Donald Trump is throwing a temper tantrum, and his legal team is wanting recounts in these states, and blah 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 blah, and wah. But to everybody who is observing, they're like, that's messed up. It's just messed up. I can't understand how anybody can look at this and say, oh, this is normal. This happens all the time, because of course it doesn't. Even this is worse than when George W. Bush was running against Al Gore, and
yes,
there was
I remember that.
The hanging Chad thing.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a controversy, but it was solved, and it was 1 state. It wasn't 5 states. And we don't. There was. I mean, the media was allowed in there. These guys are counting ballots, and you can see, the Wilbur, whatever his name was, holding the ballot up to the light, trying to read the intent of the voter. Because of the hanging Chad. That's when they actually punched holes through ballots. And I'm very fortunate. I've voted ever since I was 18 years old. At least in every federal election. I have now, but I haven't been very active in the off season. After I got out, probably when I was in my 40s, I started being extremely active. So I was voting, for city council members and school board members and stuff, because those things mattered to me because I had kids in the house, and it was very important. It was in the forefront. It was in the front of my vision. It wasn't something in the background. So I've become a little bit more politically active, just in the sense of not like running for office or anything like that, but just being aware of who my representation is, where my tax dollars are going. And now that I don't have kids in school anymore, both of my kids are in and out of college. So now it's like, my tax dollars do go are still going towards supporting our school system, which is fine. I just want to make sure that we have good people involved in that. So yeah, it's just, I'm really confused about why. I'm not confused as why. I'm just confused why there's not more outrage on both sides, because this is not what pisses me off. I don't care that Donald Trump or Joe Biden won. Everybody goes into an election, and as a citizen of the United States, you've got your favorite person. Either you're a Joe Biden fan, you might be a Joe Jorgensen fan. Personally, I voted for Donald Trump. I think that he's got a good handle on things, and he's a lot better choice than Joe Biden was. He's my guy. It's like picking a sports team. It's exactly like picking a sports team. Sometimes your team wins, sometimes your team doesn't win, and I'm fine with that as long as the game is played fairly. And this is where I had the problem. I watched the returns. I mean, ICE did a wonderful job. And everybody that called in did a wonderful job on our election coverage, which went until I woke up to go to work on Wednesday morning. He was online. He was broadcasting for a very, very long time, even with some technical glitches. He motored through it all. I really wanted Trump to win, and I just get I went to bed at 8:30. And I slept really soundly until about midnight, and I woke up. And for some reason, I couldn't go back to sleep. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'm hungry. So I had a bowl of Cheerios, went to the bathroom, walked around a little bit. I looked at my phone, and my dumb ass pulled up election coverage. And that was a very stupid mistake. So I was up stressing. I mean, my stomach was, I've got a dog in the fight. I think, I wanted my guy to win, but even if he doesn't win, even if President Trump doesn't win, that's fine for me. I'm still going to do exactly what I do to the best of my ability. I'm going to take care of my family. Nothing in my life really is going to change. I don't want to throw out my political opinion on here, but I think if Joe Biden does become president, I think, I'm going to be paying a little bit more in taxes, which is fine. But it's not fine. I like the way things are going right now. But
taxation's theft.
But I don't. I love you, man.
Say it. Sorry, you said it. I had to say it.
Yeah. But it's just, it's not that my guys, didn't win, or he did win, or he did win, or he didn't win. I just want the game to be played fairly, and I don't think that it's being played fairly.
I totally agree with you on that. And from everything that I've seen, I mean, I don't care really who. To me, I'm a little guy. Big deal, But seeing some of the stuff I'm seeing, it's just like making my head hurt a little bit because, back in 2016, it was, the Russian collusion and this and that and this and that. And now people are coming out and saying, hey, there might be something fishy going on. And, don't worry about that. And it makes us like, I don't know. I don't know, man.
Hey, Maureen, thanks for joining the show. Yeah, man, I just, I am the little guy, but, I got goals. I guess, I'd like to see the United States go other places. I really like the Make America First thing. I like the way that our economy, and I'm not talking, this is all pre-COVID. I mean, we were on like a rocket ship economically as a country. It was great. And then the Rona hit, and then it's just like, so.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Let's just say, Biden does win. I don't know. I really don't know. I think the vote counts are going to be the vote counts, but there's going to be legal action because there's some shady stuff going down, and I think it needs to be
addressed. I mean, honestly. I mean, either or. Just think about you're sitting on the other side of the fence. I don't really care who you voted for, but I mean, if your other guy was getting the same treatment. When you want some resolution to it, huh?
Yeah, I live in a neighborhood, and there's a couple of who's that Howie guy? The Howie guy is the Green Party fellow. There's one Howie sign, and then there's a couple of Biden Harris signs. There's no Trump signs, but that doesn't mean that there's not Trump support. I know that there is Trump support because two of my neighbors are both Air Force veterans, and they're just like, man, this shit's crazy. So, but, we all get along. We hang out on the weekends. I'll go and, I'll take a walk or something over the weekend. It's like, I walk around the block and I'm visiting my neighbors, and it's cool. We have different political views and different political goals, I guess, for the country, or, opinions of the way things should go. But that's what America is. I was about to say exactly. That is America right there. I mean, we could agree to disagree in some sense, but, speaking of which, I've seen some articles floating around where people were saying that their family disowned them because they wanted to vote a certain way. That's just stupid.
It blows my mind.
Or people are getting unfriended on Facebook because of political posts. I'm like, no, that's not how friendship works. That's not how family works. I get it. Let me see. I think my mom's kind of liberal. My dad's conservative. I tend to be more libertarian, but I'm not over the edge on libertarianism. But a lot of I really like Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen. I think they're extremely smart people. I think, Spike came on the program with ICE, spoke extremely intelligently, really smart dude. I couldn't get behind him because I didn't see fire there. I didn't see, the fire in the belly, the guy that wants to win is just, here's my platform. I'm out here. It's not like it really give
them a chance to present themselves either, because I would talk to people sometimes to say, hey, there's a third candidate. They're like, what?
Right. And every time I mention Joe Jorgensen, and they're like, who's that dude? I'm like, well, it's a female. It's a woman. And she's running with Spike Cohen. And they're like, who's that? Libertarian candidate. They're on every ballot in every state. All 50 states have these guys. And they're just like, nah. They're just,
I don't want to waste my vote. Don't want to waste my vote. Don't want to waste my vote.
Kind of myopic on the parties. There's more than one choice. I see someone trying to call in. I don't know who that is. I caught it right out of the corner of my eye. Oh, okay, cool. No, it was just a message saying our guest, we have a guest, and you guys can see that in the show description. David Tenenbaum. I'm like, Tenenbaum? No, that's a Christmas thing. The Tenenbaums. No, it's David Tenenbaum is going to be on the show tonight. He's the CEO and founder of Heroes Linked is going to be here. So if you are a transitioning veteran, or if you are a transitioning service member, or if you are a veteran who has transitioned, you don't want to miss this, because I think it's really good information. Information that I wish I had when I was transitioning. I didn't have. It was like, I'm clearing. Okay, here's your clearing papers. You got 2 weeks to clear.
Yeah.
Get out.
That's how it was for me. Just like this. I knew this shit.
It was kind of better for me when I was I think better. Hands off, because I had made up my mind that I wanted to get out. I think I missed out on some of the resources that I could have taken advantage of when I got out. But as I was ETSing, my unit was disbanding. So people were leaving every single day going to other units. I was like the last guy in the barracks. I didn't even have a supply room. I didn't have anything to turn my linens in. I took them to the orderly room. I put them on the damn countertop, and I walked out. Went to battalion, signed out, and I was gone. There's so many things that there's so many other hoops now that people have to jump through to clear.
Yeah, what's that stupid thing they got? ACAP that you got to do, and
ACAP.
Biggest waste of time.
I would have done it.
Time, in my opinion, but
I think I would have done it. I would have absolutely done it. You can't clear without it. But I probably would have complained the whole time. Just like I said, I'll do it.
It was ridiculous. I thought it personally. I was like, this is a waste of my time. I've got more important things to worry about. Some of the stuff they put out was nice, but I mean, resume writing. I mean, I know how to do that. Why do I got to go through?
Everybody doesn't. Everybody doesn't. I took a look at my first resume. I went to a job fair right before I got out. This is several months before I started clearing. We had a job fair that came through Fort Hood, and I talked to a person at Bell Helicopter. And they're just like, yeah, send me a copy of your resume, So I printed it off on a dot matrix printer, and I mailed it to him up in North Texas with his mail stop on it. And I'm like, I'm never going to hear from this guy again. But that was back in the day way before. Now, if you want to get hired, it's just like you need to go. Everything is online. You got to go online.
You got to have your LinkedIn. You got to have your LinkedIn straight.
Right. It's complicated now. It was a lot easier. I personally like when I'm dealing with things, buying a house, buying a car, things that are very, very important in my life. I prefer to do that with face-to-face contact. Everything else, I can handle a lot of stuff online, but big important things, I prefer to be face-to-face with somebody, look into their eyes, shake their hand. I prefer that. But now it's just
all phone interviews or Zoom interviews, I think the last job that I worked, I walked up to the guy and said, "Hey, I got all my tools. I knew this, I knew this, I knew this, I knew this." He's like, "Oh, okay, you're hired.
I'm ready to go to work. When can you start?" I can start this afternoon. Can I go grab a bite to eat? I'll be back after lunch. But now it's just everything is okay. You have to go online. You have to fill out this profile, everything that you've worked to put on your resume. All of a sudden, you've got to go to these employer's website, whether it's Lockheed or Bell or anybody else. Fill out this little profile. And then, attach a PDF or a doc of your resume, and I'm like, okay. And then it goes into this hopper, and some algorithm chooses, keywords.
Keywords are a big thing, people.
Right.
Keywords are a very, very big thing when you're trying to get a job.
It's very impersonal right now. It's, a computer chooses you, or it narrows down the field of, let's say it's 10,000 applicants or 1,000 applicants down to 100 or 10 applicants. And okay, HR gets that list of 10 people. They don't get to see the 1,000 people that applied for this position, they get to see the 100 people or the 10 people that the algorithm narrowed it down to. Okay, interview these people or call them or do whatever you do. I'm big on personalities matter. The way that someone carries themselves matter. You know, we have new employees come in all the time, and we never get to talk to them. They're picked, they're interviewed, and they come in, and I think it's a 50-50 shot. It's not really heavy one way or another. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they show up and it's just like, wow, they realize that this job isn't for them. And they put in their 2 weeks and they leave. No hard feelings at all. But I'm really interested to see how David talks about heroes linked. I'm like, heroes, veterans linked. Oh gosh, I don't want to get this wrong. But yeah, man, I really wish I had one of these resources when I was getting out. Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't know if I did or not. I was really lucky when I got out because I knew a guy who knew a guy, and I talked to a guy, and I actually had a face to send this resume to. It was good. It was good. I worked there for 12 years without missing a damn day, and then it's just everyone got laid off.
That sucks.
It really sucked. I had just gone over 12 years, and they're like, well, we're gonna since so many people are going out, we're gonna pay you your salary until the end of the year. So I got paid from like September, October, November, December, and then in December I got a severance check. So it wasn't bad. I went to work I walked out the door on a Thursday, and like the next Monday I walked into another job, which was fine. So I was making. It was good. It was good.
You got those credentials though.
Yeah, but now it's just that the field in which I work has shrunken so incredibly because now I'm more focused on research and development. So a lot of people, I'm not going to say you don't get a lot of return for your money. You get no return for your money in research and development until you actually build and sell something.
Still fun playing around with things, ain't it?
Oh, it's really fun. It's super fun. It's super, super fun. I got to meet a lot of interesting people, and once you get once people start seeing you, the right people start seeing you, and I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking for the company I work for. Once the Pentagon started, when you're pitching these things and you're entering these competitions for the military to choose the next aircraft for the American warfighter, it's cool. It's really cool. We had the Secretary of the Army McCarthy came through, and that was awesome because I got to see him like through a window. I was they got all the riffraff. I'm riffraff. Everybody when he came through, it's like everybody that actually did a job and produced things and did something, they were shuffled out, and then they brought in a bunch of suits.
Yeah.
And really good looking like human resources people and people to pitch the company. Those people were on the floor. I mean,
sounds just like the Army almost.
Right? Yeah. So it was kind of sad. That's the second time I saw him. I met Esper once, just because I was working where I needed to be working, and he just kind of walked through. And I was like, okay. And these guys, this is worse than, hey, the battalion commander's coming through the barracks, and then he's coming through the hangar, he's coming through whatever, and then you see, the battalion commander, and then you see, everybody from a 2-star is coming through. So you see everything from a 1-star all the way down to a first lieutenant who just got here last week, just trailing him. This is that times 10. This dude showed up in a jet, and he had people show up in buses.
Kind of like when I met Petraeus.
It was really impressive. I'm like, this dude's he's got people. I've heard people say, yeah, I got people. No, this dude's got people. He's got some serious people. And to his credit, there was serious, the coronavirus is going on, and it's a thing. It's very important to stay safe. Social distancing was there. The face masks, everything. Everything kind of went off. It was awesome. It was just cool. It was just very cool. How did we get on this subject?
Oh no, we were talking about resumes, and we're here now.
Okay,
so
yeah. So yeah, David Tenenbaum's going to be here at the top of the hour to talk about. Here I have to look again. Heroes Linked, not Veterans
They got
Linked.
a really nice website. I don't know if you've seen their website.
It's
Their
so
website,
awesome.
It is a very nice website.
When I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is like USA Jobs. I'm like, oh my gosh, and then the whole page loaded. I'm like, this is badass. Very awesome, very very awesome. I don't know. Maybe I should talk to David about this. I don't know if I should sign up because I've got a really badass job and I love my job. I'm never ever looking at leaving. I don't ever want to leave. This is where I want to retire. This is the first job that I had after I got out of the military. I want this to be my last job.
I'm kind of jelly of your job, man. You got a cool job, man.
I really want this to be my last job, but it's not necessarily up to me. Numbers matter. So, if we're not selling stuff, I really like the fact that my company is now investing in young employment, very youthful employment, smart. We got some really super smart engineers and programmers and stuff. And it's not like, well, we've always done it this way. You never hear that anymore.
Oh, that's good then. I
It's
hate
really
that.
awesome. That's one of my. I'm like, dude, try it this way. But now, all the young, everybody, all the bosses are young. A lot of the directors and some of the managers are older. Older meaning my age ish. Yeah, man, a lot of the gas behind my company is just everybody is young and they're vibrant and they're smart and they know what they're doing. So yeah, I can talk about my job all day long.
Yeah.
So
I don't have a job, so I mean,
well, come on, man.
Oh, I just do hobby things now, maybe an odd job here and there. When I was in Florida, I was doing small engine work. So, I mean, it's just whatever. I'm like the jack of all trades. So,
damn, David. David Ezio says he was offered a job last week making $130K. He was at a wedding reception just based on his personality alone.
That's legit.
That is awesome, dude.
Yeah, that is networking right there. I worked.
That's one thing I don't do is networking. I don't network very well.
I networked a lot while I was working up there. I was just, I was working up there, and I talked to everyone. Every contractor I bumped into, I knew their name. And I was just, you have to do that, because I was thinking of getting out, getting a job, but then the IT world just, I can't do it no more. It became too much for me. It was too stressful. I love doing it, but it was just too stressful. Dealing with the people was too stressful, is what it is. But you got some old salty guy asking you why his computer's not working, and then you have to plug it in the back. Like, dude, it's not plugged in. You deal with that all the time. It's
there's this button over there. Have you pushed that button? Oh, no.
Yeah. You know how many times I got called at like 3:00 in the morning while I was deployed, just like, hey, Exo's computer's not working. I was like, well, did you try to plug it in? Did you check to see if it's plugged? Oh, no, we tried everything. I go down there and it's not plugged into the wall. It's just, that's the kind of shit that stresses you out.
You get the charging puck that's in it, but it's not plugged into the damn source.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, dear Lord, people, it's just, that's why I don't do it anymore. I mean, I still dabble in it on my own. I was really big into the network security side of things, but
that fascinates me, actually. Network security, all the stuff that like OPSEC Monkey does.
Every time I've talked to that dude, it's just like nerd talk. I love hearing it. It's like a brochure to my ears, pretty much.
So speaking about being unplugged for a while,
okay.
Is there anybody out there, man? Voyager 2 is back online. Did you know that?
Oh, I saw that. I was actually pretty excited. It was like 42 years or something. It's been flying out in space, 11 some billion miles away.
It's been zinging around space, and it was doing its job. And then NASA says, "Okay, we're gonna launch this. We're just gonna sling it out and see where it goes." And it actually breached the heliosphere back in.
Oh, it was like a couple years back.
It was a couple years. One went out back into interstellar space in 2018, and before that, there's Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. They were both launched within a couple of weeks of each other back in 1977. and one just left the Helios. I say just left into interstellar space.
Just is a good word for space travel.
2018, and the other one left in 2012. But NASA has actually reestablished contact with its Voyager 2 spacecraft as it travels more than 11.6 billion miles away from Earth. It's so far away.
That's insane.
After the probe was left flying solo for 7 months while repairs were made to the radio antenna array in Australia that they used to control it. Mission operators sent a series of commands to the 43-year-old probe and collected a signal confirming that the call was received. The antenna array has been offline since March, while NASA completed a series of hardware upgrades, and they tested the new components by sending commands to the aircraft, or the spacecraft. However, due to the distance, check this out, dude. You know how, like, your wife's on the other side of the house, and, hey, can you take some chicken out of the freezer? So imagine yelling to take some chicken out of the freezer, and then it takes 34 hours to get a reply.
I can believe it. It's 20-minute time between Mars, I think. That's how long it takes a signal to get there and back.
So for the distance, in the story it says, because of the distance, the ground team had to wait more than 34 hours for the aircraft to reply. Spacecraft.
How's it powered, though? It's powered by solar, right?
Plasma. You can see the
okay.
plasma if you look at the little hooty hoo on the screen
I'm
there.
Looking at it, I was just confused. Like that kind of stuff just is a little bit above my pay grade. So
I'm sure it doesn't look exactly like
stuff like that, but I guess it's like kind of like a ion engine that just kind of slowly pushes itself. But I mean, once you get to a certain speed in space, you don't need to accelerate anymore, right? No?
It's pretty much there's nothing resisting you unless you hit something.
Okay, yeah. So once you hit your speed, you can just cruise. That's it. So
that's it. You're going in that direction because it has thrusters. I'm looking at it. Planetary radio astronomy, and plasma wave antenna. Okay, but it has plasma. You mean like blood plasma? No.
Plasma. I know plasma.
It's got ways. It must have. I mean, I'm sure it has like solar. 1977. I'm thinking the technology that we had in 1977 is what's on this thing. So it's nothing. It's nothing.
This is like some people believe we never made it to the moon, and I'm like, we were launching satellites in the 70s. So I don't know, man. This blows my mind, because if we have with modern day technology, we tried something like this today, man, I'd love to see it.
I don't know. We're doing it with SpaceX, and we got Starman that's still out there zinging around our solar system.
Oh yeah, he's riding around in a Tesla Roadster. Right?
I'd like to see what that Roadster looks like right now.
That thing's probably white because of the sun bleached the paint. But,
exactly. So anyway, due to the distance, it took 34 hours for a reply, but Voyager 2 received the commands and sent back a reply, and the reply said, "Hello."
That's all the things said was hi.
Yeah. Well, I guess, hello, are you there? Yes, I am here.
Hello, world.
Hello, world. The array is located in Australia as a part of a collection of radio antennas from around the world that combined to communicate with any spacecraft beyond the moon. There are other antennas in California, and there's another antenna in Madrid, Spain. Voyager 2 was first in space when it launched on 20 August 1977. Voyager 1 was launched on 5 September 1977. The mission of both of these probes was to send back data so we can study the outer planets. With their missions complete, they were both slung into these are my words. They were both slung into interstellar space, with Voyager 1 leaving our solar system in 2012, and Voyager 2 left our solar system toward the end of 2018.
Isn't one of them got like a plate on it, like a gold plate that has stuff?
Well, it has like a gold record. I don't. Is that Voyager? That has to be Voyager.
I can't remember which one it was, but I think the Beatles are on it or something. It's insane,
So Voyager 1...
What an alien would think if they found it.
Voyager 1 should... I guess they're going to Voyager, or they're going to Proxima Centauri. Our solar system's closest neighbor. Voyager 1 should...
Alpha Centauri was our closest one.
Proxima Centauri.
Oh, okay.
Voyager 1's going to reach it in 16,700 years.
Wow.
Voyager 2 is going to reach it in 20,300 years. That's like
some aliens in a distant star system are going to start having these weird probes showing up 2,000 years from now.
Like,
freaking
what is
out,
this
huh?
rust bucket? It's like an Edsel showing up. I don't think I have anything to compare that to.
I don't know. It'd be like just like floating around in space and seeing an F-150, or not an F-150 Roadster flying by with a dude driving it. You know, like it's just like as an alien, you're like, what?
These silly Americans.
They were like that. What was wrong with
No,
these
they're from that Earth trailer park.
What meth lab of a planet did this come from?
So there is a phonograph on there. It's a 12-inch gold dish, and it's got like, you know, DNA maps and music and just a whole bunch of stuff on there.
It's cool.
It is cool. I mean, hopefully we don't piss anybody off with that. It's just like all of a sudden a Nickelback CD shows up in your yard, and you're like, what's this? And or you get rickrolled from some alien. You get some Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up.
Or like the certain tone of one song happens to be a computer virus for their computing systems, and we wipe out an entire civilization, don't realize it. No?
Right.
Oh man.
So apparently, have you ever been to Yellowstone?
No, I've never been. I have never been out that far west. I think the furthest west I've been is Vegas, and that's on the south side. I ain't been any further north than that.
Well, it's not even. That's Lake Mead. That's Grand Canyon. You're looking at Grand Canyon there.
Yeah, I was at Nellis Air Force Base doing special things.
Yellowstone's up in Wyoming. There's parts of it in South Dakota, Idaho, Utah. Big old national park. It's beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. My kids live up there. I used to own some property up there. It's wonderful. It's just awesome. Every year you hear about
it's like the bison. See the bison.
The bison are everywhere. The thing is, every year they put up these new fences to keep the bison. And the thing is, it keeps the bison away from roads that people travel, and it also keeps the bison away from cattle. Because there are cattle ranchers up there, and the thing is, bison carry a disease called brucellosis, which causes like an immediate miscarriage. If the cattle are pregnant and they get in touch with this brucellosis, it's no more baby calves. So they really push towards keeping these populations separate until they can figure out a way to treat all the bison. And anyway, they build these massive fences, and these bisons, like, the bison don't care. It's like these new engineers come out there and they're like, man, they'll never get through this fence. And then, a couple months later, when the bison start migrating, it's just, there's no more fence. They haven't really been that successful.
Well, it's like every year you hear about some idiot that got too close to one. I was like, why would you walk up to a creature that weighs like 10 times what you weigh and try to piss it off?
I saw one from earlier this year. A woman wanted to take a selfie with there was a herd of bison that were grazing or whatever, and one of the bison were just like, hey, and started mauling her. She had to, she laid down and played dead, and the bison finally left her alone and then walked away, and she got up and ran in the other direction. Yeah, those things don't mess around. I won't get in a pen with cows, dude. I'm not going to get anywhere near. Cows
don't bug me. You just got to be careful because cows can do that weird like ninja kick on the side that a lot of people don't like. But I'm pretty sure bison can probably do it too.
So in Idaho, or I'm sorry, this is in Idaho Falls, man. So I don't know. I guess let's read the story together and figure out what the hell's going on here. Idaho Falls man and two others are in hot water. Ha ha ha. after being found with cooking pots and 2 chickens in a thermal area of Yellowstone National Park.
So let me get this straight. They're trying to cook chickens on a geyser?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least in the thermal area.
Okay,
Not necessarily. I mean, there's hot springs everywhere. All the areas of Yellowstone that I've been on, it smells like ass because there's a lot of sulfur. But all those hot springs, there are hot springs. There's actually businesses there that have hot springs like we have swimming pools at parks here. They have hot springs.
Oh, kind of like they do in Japan and stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's thermally heated, it's naturally heated water, and people just kind of like build a building around it and charge you to admission. Anyway, a ranger received reports in August that a group was hiking towards the Shoshone Geyser Basin with cooking pots. Okay. The ranger responded and discovered 2 whole chickens in a burlap sack sitting in a hot spring with the cooking pot nearby. The ranger spoke with a group of 10, including a child. The Idaho Falls man and 2 others were cited for foot travel in a thermal area. It is absolutely against the rules. It's against the law, I guess, to get off. There's usually because you die. There's a lot of people that die because they'll get into the
Yeah, I heard a guy fell in trying to chase his dog or something into one of the pools, and by the time they were able to even get remotely close to getting him out, he was almost dissolved at that point.
Yeah,
huh?
it's extremely acidic water, and it's extremely hot water. You don't want to be near. It's pretty and it looks pretty in pictures, but you don't want to go swimming in that stuff. So the ranger spoke with those folks, and they were all ordered to appear in court. The man who was responsible, I guess, who took responsibility for everything, pleaded guilty to the citation, and in addition to the charge for violating closures and use limits. So he was using the park for what it was not intended for, and he got off the paved road. He wasn't supposed to. There's boardwalks where it's clearly defined where you can be and where you cannot be, and he clearly was not where he should have been. So he was ordered to pay. So he was ordered to pay a $600 fine for each charge, and will serve 2 years of unsupervised probation. Not really a terrible sentence, not an overreaching sentence.
That's not too bad. As long as you don't mess up in 2 years, it'll be all right.
During this time, he is prohibited from entering Yellowstone National Park. I get it. I get it. It's weird because we had my experience with Yellowstone. There's an actual if you're driving in, my ex-wife's mom was like the president of some church, so the cottage that she let us stay in when we went up and visited was on Yellowstone. They shared property. Every couple of years they would trade borders. So if I wanted to go onto Yellowstone proper, I just walked out the front door, kind of avoid all the bison poop on the ground, and I was on Yellowstone. So it was neat. I've only driven through a legit gate one time to get on Yellowstone. But man, if you guys haven't ever been to Yellowstone, I don't care which I mean, Yellowstone is Yellowstone. It's present on several different states, but yeah, go.
I've always wanted to go, but it's just one of them things on the bucket list. I'll check it off one day.
My next trip up there, I really want to make an honest effort to go and see Old Faithful.
Have you ever been to Shenandoah? I
have not.
That's another place. If you got to see that. That's legit. Standing on top of the mountain, looking down through the valley, Shenandoah Valley is probably one of the most beautiful things you'll see. Probably.
I'd like to go to. I mess this up every time. It's not Jellystone. Okay, there's Yellowstone. There's what's the one in California?
Tahoe.
That's Utah. Tahoe is
Sahara, Nevada.
No, I think this is Northern California. It's the big man.
You got me on that one. What's the big redwoods? The Sequoia National Forest.
It's probably in Oregon or Washington State. People in the chat, help me out here. I'm looking at our unified chat, so I'm seeing everything. I think I'm seeing everything except for the radio page. What's that big? I can't
don't.
think. I'm having a brain fart.
You talking
Yosemite.
West Coast,
Thank
and
you.
you said go to California, and I was automatically like turned off at that point.
Stefan, it's Yosemite. Thank you very much, Stefan.
Yosemite, yes, I've heard a lot about that one too.
Excuse me. I work with a couple of guys that are from that area, and they say it's great. They actually they take advantage. They were sad because they hadn't taken advantage of how beautiful it is up there. They hike it every couple of weeks, or they go up there and do things, and they just really, after you move out of that area, and you just kind of realize that, wow, I just left one of the most beautiful places in the United States. You kind of take it for granted. He came from California, moved here to North Texas, where we don't have much of anything, and now he works for, I think he works for some space company down in Austin, Texas. But yeah, he's Zion.
David Crockett's a good one too.
Thank you, Jared. I've heard Zion is actually very, very beautiful too.
Yeah, David Crockett National Forest is actually a pretty good one if you're into the Texas thing. I think. Yeah. What's another one I used to go to all the time when I was a kid? Up in Pennsylvania, it's called Canoe Creek.
When I was a kid, I grew up in the Kentucky, southern Indiana area, and we went to, I think it was Mammoth Caves. That was the first time.
I always wanted to go there too.
I love going into caves. I really, and it's just because of that experience. I just love it because you're above ground and there's trees and lovely things, and then all of a sudden there's a hole in the ground, and in that hole in the ground there's all kinds of beautiful stuff. I'm not a spelunker at all, but man, I love going into caves. I've been, if you drive down towards Austin and Georgetown, you see the inner space caverns, and you're like, oh, that's just a stupid tourist trap. But then you go into the cavern, it's just like there's a story behind it. When they were drilling for the pilings for Interstate 35, they lost a drill bit, and they're like, let's do that again. So they drilled another one, and they lost another drill bit, and they're like, there's a void here. Let's go see. And there was like saber-toothed tiger bones and mammoth tusks and all kinds of cool stuff down there. So man, so here we go. Let me see. Crater Lake, yes, in Oregon. You can always drive up to Wyoming and see the Tetons. Tetons are absolutely beautiful.
This is all West Coast stuff. So
the Tetons, that's Wyoming, southern Montana.
Yeah. Does Wyoming actually exist? I've never really met someone from Wyoming.
I've never met anybody from there, but they have really clean gas stations. And
so you've been to Wyoming?
I drive through Wyoming to get to Montana. So yeah.
Okay. I've never met someone from Wyoming, so I was just like, does it really exist?
I don't think I've met anybody from Wyoming. I mean, there's Air Force bases and missile silos and stuff there. So there are people. I have seen people in Wyoming. I don't know if they're from Wyoming. Lake of the Ozarks. Yes.
That's where they did that whole Ozarks. I don't know if you've ever watched it. Show.
Oh, I absolutely did. I'm looking forward to season whatever the next one is.
That show. My mom was like, "You gotta watch this." She's like, "You know what? You gotta sit down and watch this." And I was like, "Okay." And then hooked. Just like that. Great
Adam Dennis, thanks for mentioning that. We when I was at Fort Campbell, a friend of mine was from the Lake of the Ozarks area, so it was for some long weekend. We hopped in his truck and drove out to his parents' place. And dude, you're absolutely correct. That place is absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. Lots of stuff to do. Lots of people to see. Very touristy. Wyoming is also very flat. But it's not flat. I mean, there's bluffs everywhere, and I've never seen like detour signs for snowdrifts before.
Living in the Appalachians, you see that a lot, man.
So anyway, back to our cooking chicken in a thermal zone. This isn't the first time park visitors have been in trouble for trying to cook a chicken near a geyser. In 2001, a Seattle television show host and producer, those producers are nothing but trouble, they dug a hole in the park to show how natural heat can cook a chicken. But that show was only reportedly fined $150 and placed on a 2-year probation for disturbing mineral deposits in a national park. and stepping off the trails.
Don't pick up rocks in national parks. Just
No.
FYI, do not do that. Don't do it. Bad juju.
I would have a hard time with that because I'm like, oh, that's pretty, that's nice, that's cool.
There's plenty of stones that I saw in Shenandoah that I was like, oh, that's real nice, and I didn't know it, but the girl that I was seeing at the time was like, don't touch that. Just don't even mess with it. She explained it to me. I was like, oh, okay, makes sense.
Joseph Williams says, you know what else you can cook in with thermal dynamics? There's people that heat there's technology out there. You can heat your house.
That's I was at Iceland does that a lot. A lot of their power is generated from thermo.
Everybody in Iceland lives on top of a volcano, so they have to.
Geothermal. Iceland, it's a super volcano, ain't it?
I'm not sure if it's a super volcano. I know Reykjavik is the volcano, and I got to fly. We got to fly by that when I flew from Fort Benning to where did we go? Fort Benning to Germany before we went to Kuwait and then into Iraq. So we actually flew by Reykjavik and then down into Europe. So that's a big bitch, man. I
was deployed when that big volcano erupted, and a bunch of people got extended leave because they couldn't fly because of all the I guess particles in the air.
The particles in the air, that'll shred an engine. That'll shred a turbine in no time, dude. It'll eat away. Not eat away. It's just your turbine is spinning so quickly, and that's glass. It's basically glass, and it's just it'll get rid of your blades, and you won't be able to intake it. It sucks air into the engine, and once those blades are gone, you're not sucking anything.
Yeah, I remember one of the females. She got like an extra week of leave in Germany, and I was like, "Oh, lucky you! Lucky you!"
Well, guess what? We're like 4 minutes to the top of the hour. We've got a super awesome guest. David Tenenbaum is going to be here. I have to look again. My brain is not working. I can't remember Heroes Linked. Go ahead. When we're on this break, go ahead and check out Heroes Linked. They got a spectacular website.
Their webpage is amazing.
It is. And, like I said earlier, appearances are everything. I'm sure it's extremely functional. I started to click around on it. I haven't had a whole lot of time. I've been working a whole lot of hours. So I haven't had a lot of spare time. But
I popped in just to check it out, and I was like, wow, this is really well made. That's all I got to say. Whoever their web designer is props, dude, whoever it is.
So, David, if you're listening, we'll be ready to take your call in just a couple of minutes. We're going to go on break. Let me see how much I'm going to do. A little bit of on-the-fly math here. 3 minutes on that one, 4 minutes on that one, add 30 seconds, 4.5 minutes, 7.5 minutes, and that and thing. So we got about an 8-minute break coming up right now. And when we come back, we're going to have Mr. David Tenenbaum on the air with us. So if you are a transitioning veteran, or if you're a transitioning service member, I don't care what branch you're from, all branches are welcome here. Everyone's welcome here. But David's got some resources that can definitely give you a hand. If you're a veteran that has already transitioned and you're having a difficult time, or if you want some new opportunities, I think this would be a great opportunity for you to get some information. So hit us back in about 7.5, 8 minutes, and we'll take you all down that journey of employment opportunities for veterans. So hang out. We'll be back in just a few minutes. This is WTF Nation Radio.
TF Nation Radio. TF Nation Radio.
voice of U.S. Army WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
All right, everybody, we are back from our really short break. I think it's a really short break, actually. So this is WTF Nation Radio. My name is Koz, and we are the voice of U.S. Army WTF Moments. And we are joined here by David Tenenbaum. He is the HMFIC, I guess, of Heroes Linked. So if you're a transitioning service member, or if you're a veteran who is or who has transitioned, this is what you need to listen to. So, ladies and gentlemen, I present you David Tenenbaum. How you doing, David? Thank you very much for being here. David, are you here with us?
Oh shit! There we go. I gotta learn how to unmute myself, man.
We go through that a lot.
You know. So the HMFIC, which is the best name I've had in a while, apparently doesn't know how to click one button. So all apologies there.
You probably have people for that.
I have people for that, you know. Super thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, it's our pleasure, man. I'm really glad we got connected. We got linked, if you will.
Yeah, nice. I see what you're working there. A little, yeah. Gabe Goff has been a fellow Army friend. Gabe Goff has been a badass in the veteran community, and he said when we should connect. I'm like, dude, I follow you guys for some time. You guys are like the healing humor that I always look to in the community, and so when this came about, I was pretty damn excited. So thank you again.
I like that healing humor. We are the healing humor. I think we're gonna move that into I think we're gonna take that. We're gonna steal that from you. Really good words. I like that healing humor of the veteran community. That's awesome.
You might have to compete with Marine badass Donnie O'Malley with Vet TV. There may be some proprietary or may not be some proprietary language there. I'm not sure.
Vet TV. That is some of the most. You watch it and you're like, oh my gosh, and then you're like, every bit of this is true.
Yeah, I've been a fan of his. And Vet TV's and yours, because you guys do something that I don't get to do in my life. Like, I'm the guy who's got a master's. I was an officer in the Air Force as soon as I left the Army, wisely. There it is. There's those gasps.
My heart. My heart. Oh.
Your heart breaks. Mine was saved by leaving it. But
I understand.
Amen.
But I foolishly adopted this like overly professional persona, but my heart still like pangs for like the humor, the crass, like the candor that you guys and Vet TV and a few other platforms put out. And that's, I'll just say that I think we need less drama in our community and more humor. And I think that's one of the best things that we can do. So I appreciate you guys.
Agreed. But are you saying that the United States Air Force doesn't have a WTF? I mean, as an officer, you might have a different view. You might have a different experience. But I mean, as an airman, there would probably be U.S. Air Force WTF moments. I mean, I guess every service has it.
Oh yeah, our WTF moments in the Air Force are simply like, dude, bro, your PlayStation's at work, you suck, or dude, bro. You went to fucking Baskin Robbins and you ordered the double chocolate chip instead of chocolate chip.
Who did you piss off? You only stayed in a 4-star hotel on TDY.
Exactly. Dude, you stayed 4 seasons? You're such a loser.
My steak was overcooked at the defect.
Hey, that hits home, okay? That hits home. Look, I joined the Army, and it's ironic because I wanted to be a soldier. Like, I thought, why not join the branch? It's like combat arms is, offensive in nature, badass infantry, sort of thing. And I remember I went in and I said, hey, I speak Hebrew and French. I want to be like a linguist. And they're like, and I remember the guy at MEPS, he's like, we don't need like Hebrew linguists. Israel's an ally. I'm like, yo, dude, I understand you got to meet quota, but You guys train folks up at Defense Language Institute. You guys need it. I'm already proficient. Here's my test scores. He's like, no, why don't you go infantry? I'm like, no, why don't I go interrogator? And so I walked out of there with like an 11X enlistment with like Ranger indoctrination program. Like, I'm not fucking showing up on my ship date. I'm going to be a dep loss. You're never going to see me again. And sure enough, 2 years later, I tried a second time. So it was never easy with the Army, ever.
Wow. I couldn't imagine. I mean, now I think things would be different. What year was this? You're a young looking fella.
Oh, bless your heart. I'm an oldie. 97 was when I first tried. I was at university, and good old, I guess the origin story, if there is one, is Milosevic is doing stupid shit in Serbia, and my father was in the Holocaust, and so I saw certain imagery and certain concepts that were going on, and I'm like, wait, maybe it's time to do some good.
Right.
And my yeah, hell yeah. And my father was liberated by U.S. forces and 42nd ID and 45th ID, and I'm like, dude, it's time to do right. And so I tried going in, and it just didn't, like everything I ever did with the Army. The first enlistment didn't work. The second enlistment didn't work, I think. And then the third was like as an officer candidate. And when I was at university, and they sent me to enlisted basic training, and my MOS was 09er Sierra. And I remember like we had a 0 week, like we got there before our sister platoons arrived. And I remember our drill sergeant was going, like we were like, I don't know, open ranks inspection. And he's going down the line, and 63 whiskey, what's it called? Heavy vehicle mechanic, 13F, field artillery. And he gets to me and he's like, what are you? I'm like 09er Sierra. And he's like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, officer candidate. And then like the silence became even more silent. The wait became and then senior drill sergeant and drill sergeants had a field day starting from that day on. And
you think a recruiter would say, okay, we're going to put you in a class where there's going to be a whole bunch of officer. When my daughter went through basic, she went through with a bunch of other officer candidates.
Yeah, I wasn't so lucky. I wasn't so smart I wasn't so lucky to receive the Army's intelligence in that regard. They literally sent me to enlisted base training, Fort Sill.
Oh, yeah, that's where she went.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Did she do like the summer, like the 4-week program with other ROTC folks or something?
No, it was the full on. She was National Guard, so she went through the. It's one of those things where if the officer route doesn't pan out, she was going to be like a Chinook mechanic or something.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's maybe I wonder if that was their thinking, because they sent me.
But this is 2 years ago, and you're talking about 20 plus years ago.
Eons, epics, ages ago.
Mm-hmm.
Well, congrats to her. Congrats to you. Is she now a First Louis? Is she in?
She's gone. There were we can talk offline about it. There were some missteps by the cadre there, so she got out.
I am very familiar with that concept. I'll just say that. I went in and, like I said, 09er Sierra officer candidate, enlisted basic training, and kind of what you're hinting at, like there was several missteps. They sent me at the wrong date to training, and it was actually for the California Army National Guard as well. And when I graduated, I was already missing part of my school year, and it was supposed to be like a state OCS program where I would go during the summer, I'd graduate during the summer, and be in time for like fall quarter, fall semester at university. But it screwed up everything on the timeline. And when I got home after basic, I pretty much said, get me the hell out of here, because the Army regrettably didn't know what they were doing. And I remember like the guy, when I asked this to my recruiter, so to speak, he's like, dude, we're not in the business of letting anyone out. I'm like, well, my contract allows me, get me the hell out of here. And it worked somehow.
That's about the same route that we took, but it took some weight from senators and congressmen.
Oh,
it did take some letters and some phone calls, but yeah, I've marched down that road. Yeah. And I say that I've marched down that road, but I'm the father of a daughter who was living with me at the time. And it's just, it it's like I was going through basic training again, and just, you know, because they were allowed, you know, contact back with the family. So it's, you know, you get the phone call, you know, you've been asleep for 2 hours, but you get a phone call and it's your kid, and it's, I am fine. They are treating me good. I love you. I'm going to write letters. Good night. And that was the length of the phone call. And you're like, they're torturing the shit out of my daughter, you know.
They've already taught her interrogation techniques. Don't
Right.
say anything.
I am fine. I am well.
blink heavily. But I'm sorry to hear that. But the other perspective is I'm glad. I mean, it's a shame it took, quote, an act of Congress and God to get her out. But I'm glad it sounded like it worked out for the best.
She's in a really super place right now. I mean, everybody goes through things for a reason. I firmly believe that. She's in such a good place. I'm very jealous for her position right now.
Wow, it's pretty cool. A father who's enamored with his daughter's success. I dig it, man.
Absolutely. So you went to the Air Force. The Air Force says, "Come on over."
The Air Force said, "Didn't like your experience at the Army? Are you smart enough? Come on down." I went back to school. I finished school, got my degree in hand, and a close friend of mine at the time, she started pursuing, like, you know, the year-long process of OTS for the Air Force.
Okay.
I got to see her, like, apply, and I got to see what the selection was like, and then I got to visit her at OTS, and then see what Air Force culture was like, and how she was treated. In
the back of your mind, you're like, I can do that.
Yeah, hell yeah. In the forefront of my mind, I'm like, dude, Army's wackadoodle. Air Force seems to have shit together. Why not? You know, and I still wanted to serve. And that's kind of when I started my year-long process of, hey, let me in. And what the hell do I do in the Air Force? And I, you know, of course let me rephrase that. The Air Force was a much better fit. I spent 6 years in, and I still got out early, and I probably should have stayed in longer, but it was a good run.
That's really good that you mentioned that. I really appreciate that. You were a good fit. Maybe you just weren't a good fit. You wanted to serve, but maybe you weren't a good fit for the Army. But you found, you know, our station master, Red Leg. He's always said, get in where you fit in.
Hell yeah.
And you got to you're that puzzle piece, and you got to find your space and excel at that space. And you did that with the Air Force. You got what you wanted, and I appreciate that, because you didn't take the first thing offered. You're like, okay, fine, I'm in. Great, this is awesome. You got what you wanted. Yeah,
and I'm glad Red Leg has that sentiment, you know, because it's true. Like, I couldn't do, you know, I'm kind of a cerebral dude, and I enjoy that. I wouldn't have worked well in an alpha unit heavily focused on infantry. I know I wouldn't have, because I would have thought, I don't want to carry a 70-pound ruck. I don't want to do this mission. I don't want to fucking, the loud sound of the M4 is just too much for me.
I'm fucking cold.
I'm cold. Actually, you know, I knew for certain I wasn't a good fit for the Army. Like, I deployed with the Air Force a few times, ground and air positions, and I remember it was the last thing I did in the Air Force. I volunteered for a ground duty in Kabul, and for some fucking reason, the Air Force required that we went through Army, like, TRADOC, and through like a 1 month CST, like combat skills training program before we deployed. And so I left, like, my base in Omaha. We go back to, I think it was Fort Benning. I don't know if it's Fort Benning or Fort Sill.
Yeah, that's where they teach you, this is what an IED looks like.
Yeah, we did our 5-meter checks, our 25-meter checks, and we did our IED sensitivity training, and we did our combat lifesaver training and nasopharyngeals, and we went in, like, November, so it was fucking freezing, and we were a rank-heavy Air Force group. Like, we probably had, I don't know, 100 folks in our group that was exclusively Air Force that the Army was training. We probably had like 40, 50 officers in there, including me. We had full birds in there. We had O5s, everything. And I remember all of us just saying, let me get this straight. The Army believes that in order before we deploy to a place that's freezing temperature, we should start freezing now, rather than just like,
yes,
got an acclimate.
Yeah, we don't
train as you fight, man. Come on.
Yeah, we kind of had a different philosophy in the Air Force, like hotels, warm classrooms. We didn't have such a thing as a heating tent. We just called them offices.
We give you so much,
They
us,
gave you
us
heating
as
tents?
Army, because most of us, I think most, if not all of us here in the Army or at the station are, Army veterans. So it's like, you kind of embrace the suck. And we make fun of the Air Force. It's like, oh, it's like when I said flippantly, oh, you only stayed at a 4-star hotel. That's obviously a real thing.
Oh, hell yeah. There's no shame in that. Like, my argument was, look, what the Army and Marines are in strength and bravado and courage and alpha and in high speed shit is what we are in technical shit. Like, you don't want me being amped up before I go on a 12-hour flight when all I'm doing is intense math or intense navigation. Like, that doesn't make for a good crew member if your pilot's like, fuck yeah, guys, let's go bomb shit. Like, yeah.
Sounds like my kind of guy right there.
So we structure the Air Force in a way that kind of fosters that culture of just being geeky, and
it's the big brain military, and it's awesome. It's really awesome because you can look at, if you go to the U.S. Air Force whatever they are, you can look at all the jobs available. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I'm so taken back by, I'm like, these are really, really cool jobs. And then, dude, I can do this. And then you go to the Air Force, and I did go to the Air Force. They're just like, hey, take the test and take the oath, and then we'll tell you what you're going to do.
Ooh,
I didn't like that. I'm like, So I went to the Army recruiter. I'm like, I hate your uniforms. I think your Class Bs are crap. But what do you got? And they're like, okay, take the test, then you can have a choice. I'm like, okay. So I took the test, and I got into aviation, and I'm very, very happy with my choice. I'm still doing it today. I've been out of the Army since 1996.
Oh my!
But I've been doing the same type of job ever since I enlisted back in the late 80s.
Look, you grabbed something knowingly that you could leverage after service.
After service, yeah. Yeah. So what did you do in the Air Force? What was your job title?
So I was a navigator. I flew in a 707-esque aircraft, and right behind the pilots, left, right, up, down, slow, fast, turn here, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's ironic because my master's is in aeronautical science. I was an instructor navigator. I had my private pilot license. I was a professional aviator.
Okay, I was going to say you're a rated pilot then.
I was a navigator, and so
okay.
I have a private pilot license, and my knowledge differed from the pilots overwhelmingly in a lot of boldface, like emergency procedures, and of course I wasn't piloting the aircraft in any way, shape, or form. But I remember when I got out, I'm like, oh shit, I'm a marketable aviation asset. I could go to the airlines for scheduling or for coordination or for ops, or I could go to the Boeings or Northrop Grumman's or Lockheed Martin's. And I rapidly realized that despite being a groomed aviation professional, I didn't land anything. And that was a not easy transition. That was not easy.
It's not only disappointing, it's defeating. It makes you feel defeated. You're like, all of this stuff that you've put forward, and all of a sudden it's not worth anything.
Yeah, I'd say it's damn accurate. I think that's what we were talking about before. Me and my buddies were talking about before is, I think one of the challenges we face in transition is not only is there's this intense camaraderie, and there's this intense mission, and there's intense segregation of military from civilian community, but there's also this intense culture, which is the military has a very specific way of speaking. We have 1,000 acronyms, 1,000
yeah,
where we refer to each other, what we're doing, everything under the sun. And when we leave the military, it's all of that, the mission, the camaraderie, the language, everything, the uniform, of course, is stripped. Our successes are stripped. And then our reverence, if you got a platoon sergeant who's a badass, and he's 26 or she's 26, 27, and she goes to the Boeings or Northrop Grumman's, and they're like, you're 27 and we're going to make you an associate. He's like, what? What do you mean? I've led people in combat in the most complicated circumstances. known to man. And so I think there is like this bleaching or washing of our military identity, and one like a new one that we have to adopt if we want to succeed in the post service life.
In the private sector, you really do need to strip your discipline. No, you don't need to strip the discipline. The discipline is good, but the way in which I've been out of the military since 1996. That was my last day was October 16th, 1996. I've been working in the same job on and off, and it's just I have a standard. I show up to work at the same time, even though the rule book says as long as you put in your 8 or 10 hours, then you're good. I'm not like that. I show up at the same time every day. I have a standard in which I do my work, and it's very methodical for me, and it's therapeutic for me. It makes sense to me. There's a system, and I follow the system, and it's awesome. So we get new employees. Some of them are former military. Some of them are not. Some of our best employees are not. They're just smart people that can do stuff.
Sure.
But
Sure.
It's really awesome working with veterans and people who have either recently transitioned or they're just coming back from, they're coming to us from a different company doing the same thing that they used to do for another company. And it's great to see the structure in which a veteran of the military, it doesn't matter which service, because we're kind of regimented in the way that we do things.
Yeah.
It's really awesome to work with a veteran.
Yeah. I like, there's something I really like what you said there, which is, look, talent is talent, and like professionalism and success and like contribution to a company, those can come from anyone, like regardless of age or experience or background, like, that rises to the top. But what I believe in, and what you've already demonstrated by your own ethos of putting in the time and putting in the number of hours beyond the rule book, so to speak, is I think if we went in at 18 or 20 or 22, depending whether we're enlisted officer, depending on our age, typically, I think we learned a structured way of living, and under really intense circumstances that kind of remain like for a lifetime. It's like,
right.
It's almost like the Facebook group. It's like, how many of you still fold your drawers, or you fold your stuff in the same way you learned basic?
Yes, I do. I do.
And if I do something, I'm like, oh shit, I'm doing this because the Air Force or my Army time 20 something years ago, because I'm like, it's either effective or efficient, or I never saw a reason to change it, or a better reason to change it. And I think that is in our favor with work practice. It's like, okay, it's cold, or it's shitty, or there's a heavy load to carry, or the work can't be just left to tomorrow. You're like, well, in basic, I didn't have a complaint card to be like, I'm done here, sort of thing. Or I didn't have the ability on a ruck to be like, hey, drill sergeant, my blisters are a little uncomfortable and my feet are frozen. Can I just take a little break, sort of thing. And so I think there
Rub
is
dirt in it.
Say it again, man.
I said rub dirt in it.
Ew. So I think there was a resolve and a commitment that we learned early on that does carry over. And I agree I think that's one of the many reasons why I hope, veterans make for good employees. And I hope why civilians would consider, maybe seeing more of us in that regard, and less of the, oh shit, he or she deployed, or oh shit, I saw a movie about, a combat film or a war film, and now my mind thinks about this person in that way. Like, I wish they just think about us as young folks who've had to shoulder extraordinary responsibility that our peers typically don't, sort of thing. So I'm definitely a fan of the civilian space embracing us for as assets.
So you got out of the Air Force, but you were disappointed. Why did you decide to leave the Air Force? I mean, here I am as an enlisted person in the Army. I got out because I'm like, I know everything, and I can make more money out of the Army. You were an officer in the Air Force. You're gallivanting around the globe in an aircraft as a navigator, right?
Oh yeah. No,
you thought that you could do better for yourself, but you were motivated. You were motivated to get out. Everyone's either motivated to either stay in the military or they're motivated to, hey, I've got better opportunities outside. But you were, from what you said, it seems like you were just like all these Northrop Grummans and whatever Lockheeds. You were running into brick walls. What made you breach that wall?
Yeah, I mean, and you are right about the gallivanting. Like I had a very pimp lifestyle in the Air Force. I mean that, like I was one of the highest deployed members of my squadron, so I was getting tax breaks left and right. Like we would do something cool. We'd swap jets. So we had
I always swap jets with my friends.
You're nasty, sir. But there's no
jets.
We were one of the low quantity aircraft in the inventory in the Air Force. Like, C-130s, there's like 200 of them. F-16s, 100 plus. But we were on a rivet joint reconnaissance aircraft that there was literally like 13. And there's only so many squadrons that even flew them with pilots or navigators. And so I was one of the 2 squadrons. And so we'd have to swap out jets in Al Udeid or in Japan or occasionally when we were in Europe sort of thing, or in England. So we would even have this thing where I'd go fly the jet for 16, 18 hours in Japan, drop off that jet, hang out by the pool, scuba dive, snorkel.
It's called crew rest. Crew rest.
Yeah. We had mandatory crew rest.
Yes.
Look, you're an aviator. You're an aviator in the Army. And so, and that exists for good reason.
It does. I mean,
I thought they just like hyped up on like meth and just kept flying, but that must be like some myth or something like that. No?
That was in the movies.
If only my excitement in the aircraft consisted of Diet Coke and then chicken wings. That's as crazy as we got up there, man. So at least on the record it is. But yeah, I had, we'd go to Japan, like I said, drop this off. I'd get pay. I'd get, pick up like sake for the squadron. Like we'd do this in the desert. We'd fly through Greece, come home with bottles of ouzo. Like it was a very good lifestyle, even when we were deployed. And I wouldn't say tired of it, but I would say I became impatient with, and this is of course embarrassing said to you guys who've done 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pumps and stop loss and everything else,
right.
But it became kind of uneventful, and I wanted more, and I kept pushing for more.
You got bored? Is that a fair statement? Did you get bored?
I got, let me be
lack of satisfaction. I don't know.
I think I got my ego got involved, and I wasn't being recognized for what I could do and what I wanted to do. And I was too immature at the time to realize that the Air Force made me an aviator and they're going to get their time out of me. And I was like, dude, I can do this. Dude, I can do this. And they're like, shut up, kid, and be the aviator that we made you to be for at least 10 years before you start branching off to the other fun components of the Air Force.
I feel that. I feel that a lot. It's disappointing. It is. And I kind of get that at my job too. I mean, I go and I do my job. I love my job. And if everything would remain the same, as long as I get a cost of living increase or whatever every once in a while, I'm fine. I love what I do. But there's always something more. I mean, give me another chance. There's other things that I can do. I'm multi-talented.
Hell yeah. I think a lot of us who joined were signing up to that, like high deployment cycle or PCS or PCA and intense training and skill sets. And then, I don't know too many other organizations that have a career path like we did in the military, where it's like, be a badass for 6 months or 1 year and you get promoted, be a badass or shit hot for 2 years and you get promoted, more pay, more responsibility, more opportunities, more equipment, more everything. And so we had a very, very rapid rate of success and progression in uniform. And in the civilian sector, it's nice to have something similar. And like I said, for me, I think my downfall in the Air Force was I became a little impatient. I tasted what the Air Force could be, and I wanted more of it. I wanted more and more of it. And when they said, "Hey, let's just titrate you. Let's keep you on an even fix," I said, "Well, if you're not going to do it, then I'll jump ship and find it elsewhere."
Did you witness a lot of attrition because of that? because of the boredom, or I can do more, and people just kind of requesting to get out or failing to re-enlist. I mean, it's different as an officer, but
I think it's a great question. It's a super good question. I think you're right on the officer side. I think we really were kept well enough, and especially in our squadron, where we had huge flexibility for reporting times and PT. Like, we were essentially treated as the biggest adults we could be. It's like, here's your flight schedule,
right.
Here's your schedule, be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be. Otherwise, do what you got to do, which is kind of unheard of in the in the military. It's almost like spec ops guys, like here's sort of thing. But they're much more regimented still than we are. On the enlisted side, those guys were dropping because we beat the shit out of them. Like, we would fly them constantly, and every deployment that we could, we'd get them in the back for 3 months straight, 6 months straight. And what they did was exhausting. Like, they're listening to 6 frequencies in their headsets, translating languages, listening to beeps and squeaks. Like, they're processing intel in real time. And they're sitting backwards or sideways in an aircraft at 30,000 feet, burning circles in the sky. And like, they're good to each other, thank God. And we were good to them, and we afforded every perk we could to each other. And there was an intense camaraderie. But I don't know anyone that can maintain that level of operations as an aviator for years at a time. That's exhausting. So yeah, they were jumping. A lot of those guys had burnout and were looking to leave.
There's a lot of burnout. There's got to be a lot of burnout.
Yeah.
Like, either I want to reclass, or I want to like relocate, go somewhere else,
or go instructor and then pull off the flight, pull off the operational line, go to the schoolhouse to teach the next generation, sort of thing. But they also recognize that they could make rank quickly and that they would have a lot of opportunity. And I would say, I almost feel like the enlisted corps, like the aviator corps, they went on to some serious opportunities. Like, I don't really remember any of them hurting for jobs afterwards. And I do think some of the navigators, like, we're like, where the hell do we go? We're not a technical expert like the electronic warfare officers, and we're not a technical expert like the intel guys.
Right.
We're a really smart GPS system, sort of thing. So I was really excited to see a lot of the enlisted folks who chose kick-ass jobs at big defense firms. So
you decided to get out. Where did Heroes Link come in? I mean, you're the godfather of it.
Yeah, I'm super lucky. I'll just say that I'm super, super lucky. I'm just the director. I came in, I think, 3 years into its existence, and I came in at a time when the platform has experienced a lot of growth. And as a backstory, the platform the program is part of a nonprofit, a national nonprofit called the Military and Veterans Appreciation Trust Foundation. And about 8 years ago, a bunch of very, very kind philanthropic folks here in LA got together and said, like the rest of America, they recognize that, especially, what is this, 2013, 2012, that veterans could benefit from a little bit more public support and a little bit more solutions.
Okay.
And they created the foundation to raise funds that they would in turn use to allocate to true VSOs and true service providers, whether it's for PTS, TBI, MST, for employment opportunities, recreational therapy, medical therapy, whatever our ailment, calamity, need, housing might be. And they realized after about 2 or 3 years of doling out funds that they could create their own program, Heroes Linked, and that would focus primarily on career success or career development or transitioning help. And they launched the platform. It's a LinkedIn, Rally Point, Facebook mentor advisor platform that says, hey, I'm a CEO or I'm an EVP or I'm a VP of one company, and I've got some advice to share as an advisor, whether it's a job or insight or resume review, or I'm a vet myself and I've transitioned my own. And presumably the advisee is someone who says, I just would love to pick someone's brain in a controlled environment with someone who's willing to engage me in an honest dialogue about what am I doing wrong or what can I do better to transition or find the job I'm after, or to think about yellow ribbon schools, to think about other well-being. So my 2-second pitch on Heroes Linked is I'm really, really trying to just create a candid platform where two folks connect, where they share their need and maybe they dialogue about how best to address that.
And it also it teaches you how, as you speak, it kind of teaches you how to communicate with other professionals versus, professionals, not versus, but, counter to that, someone who's looking with someone who's been.
I'm taking that on that. I like that. I would say so. I would say, yeah, in as much as it is a platform that says, hey, get someone to review your resume, or hey, someone is looking. And
I wish I had that when I got out. I really do.
Oh yeah. But look, I think we all do, and that's the drum we're trying to beat to our community is don't suffer in silence, don't transition alone. Come to our network where there are advisors who are both veterans and civilians, and you can get pretty much unique access to someone who you'd never be able to get access to otherwise. Like, I don't go on LinkedIn to some senior CEO to me and say, yo bro, can we hop on a call and me pick your brain about how I can improve my lot in life? Like, that's a consulting call. That's usually can be billed for, but through Heroes Linked, we kind of have that platform where advisors have made themselves available that says, absolutely, this is my volunteerism. This is my help the veteran community. This is like, which I really like you said, this is, let me help you how to speak, how to present yourself, how to court the corporate world, how to, vertically improve, how to make a horizontal move, how to leverage your GI Bill, how to even define mental or medical health, whether it's through the VA or otherwise, kind of leveraging the VSO space. And so I think the whole platform I'd like to pitch is not only like career success, but overall well-being.
It sounds like you'd be a perfect fit in a VA type of operation. Do you guys work with the VA at all?
Excellent question. You asked that again, and we're going to hire you to be our outreach director in that case. We have some connection with the VA, and I'm very, very grateful to those, and they've been very good to us. They've shared Heroes Linked in the weekly, in one or two of the weekly newsletters. They've shared us on Vantage Point. They have had me on the Born the Battle podcast with Marine veteran Tanner Iskra. So they've been very kind to us. But of course, they serve 9 million vets, and we'd love to be, we'd love to be more well known to those folks. We have reached out to the DoD Transition Office, like the TAPS office, and look, they have a ton of VSOs vying for their attention and petitioning them to be the VSO of choice. And those guys, the TAPS office has their, they can pick who they want to pick. And so we're kind of in a, let us demonstrate to them that we are a good partner so we can be presented during the actual 1 week or 6 month TAP process. But yeah, we would love a further.
What's the TAP process? That's new to me.
It's like ACAP almost.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Transition Assistance Program, I'm guessing.
Exactly. Yeah. And those guys, bless their heart. And I mean that, like, they know, as you guys were talking about earlier, like, they know that going from active duty and sometimes in the fight, sometimes in the field, sometimes deployed, to coming home, 2-week downturn, and then out processing, and then being a civilian with no job lined up, that's madness. Like, 1 week of classroom time doesn't prepare anyone for anything. And so
I think me and Koz were talking about it earlier before you came on, how I feel the ACAP process through the military is just a waste of time, really. But no, I mean,
that, and that's the way a lot of guys feel for very good reason. Like I said, what can you teach someone in a week? And so they find, thankfully and wisely, they have revamped the program to start reaching out to folks, I think 6 months prior to separation, if someone files their paperwork, to even a year. And sometimes they get handheld where they'll be assigned almost like a case manager, like a transition manager, and everything from get your LinkedIn set up, start getting your resume set up. Here's some terminology to use. Here's your new wardrobe to use. Here's your outreach cycle. Here's how you can start building your network online. Hey, start thinking about where you want to move to, what sort of job you'll be competitive for, the whole cycle, because it's not It's not obvious.
And it goes both ways, though. It's like, hey, I was a forward air controller. What jobs can I do no one's going to be a forward air controller in the civilian sector in the United States, CONUS.
Yep.
So it's like, hey, you're compatible with this, that, and the other.
Yeah. And look, that's not, what do you do when there's 200,000 people transitioning every year, roughly, from a really specific job, like a TAC P or a ranger or a radar tech, sort of thing. And so it's like, no one in uniform is getting proposition from Boeing saying, hey, we can't wait for you to leave. We're so excited. No one's headhunting active duty military members. Let's just say that, because Boeing doesn't have joe.johnson at army.mil.smil.mills fucking email, sort of thing. And it's probably a breach of contract in a lot of ways, and integrity. Reach out to him and say, why don't you come join us when you separate or retire? So I think you're right. It's a good way for folks to start thinking about it early, and it's also a good way for the DoD program and VA to orchestrate that meeting, to say, here's our new crop of graduates, civilian sector from the military. Start picking them off on their new careers and homes. God. Because they're ready and able.
Imagine to actually call them, here, we have graduates from military service. Call them not veterans. I mean, call them graduates from military service. Look at these folks who have all of these skill sets. It doesn't matter. Whatever your skill set was in the military, look, we have, advertised. These are the graduates from military service. I like the graduates from military service.
Like DoD alumni or something.
Right.
That's legit.
We're a wacky lot, and this is, I think, I'm grateful to be on here, and I haven't been as humorous as I'd like to be. I'm thankful you guys are, but I would say vets are a wacky lot because we're one of the only people out there that I know that takes such fucking ownership of like a has-been noun. Like, yeah, we served 10 years ago, 20 years, 30 years ago. That's like me running around saying, dude, fuck you. I'm a high school graduate. I got my GED or my high school diploma. What's wrong with you, bro? Like, that's your badge of courage. That's like your access to ownership of like free speech and flag burning and like, ownership of like what's right and what's left. Like, no one else says that. And yet somehow we're like, we served, we fought, we sacrificed, we did it 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And as long as I wield that veteran term, something that's historical, I get the right to ownership. And what I'd love to say is like, fuck what you did, bro. We know what you did. Those who served know what you did, and we'll bro bump the shit out of it and drink to that. And
hell yeah.
But since then, who are you now? What's your contribution to society since? Because you can only be a 19 kilo for so long, bro, before you're like, what's up?
Do you have a success story, like someone who has contacted you like, hey man, here is what my job was, and I've been struggling, and I need your help. I don't know how to phrase this. I just came up with this. I've done absolutely no research at all. But it's like someone who has reached out going, I need help. Here are my qualifications. Here's my resume. Can you put me in touch or help me reword, or how can I say this differently?
Hell yeah. So I'm the program director, which means partnerships, revenue, funding development, events, the overall use of the platform, engagement of the platform, social media.
You've got authority.
I've got a lot of responsibility.
That's a good word.
And but I also serve as an advisor, which is bitching because it's like being, I guess it'd be like, I remember when I was in the squadron, we had our squadron commander, but he was also a pilot. And every so often he'd jump in the aircraft and take a local flight or local sortie. And I loved seeing that. And so every so often I get to jump in the platform and be an advisor, which I am. And I get to take those calls of, yo, man, I have a need. How can you help me? And thanks for the setup of the success story. I can tell you several, but one that comes to mind is, I don't know if I can say his name, so I'll just say he's an active duty Air Force guy right now. And he's someone I served with in uniform 12 years ago. He's been following me on LinkedIn. He's been seeing Heroes Linked content, and he's getting ready to transition. He's about a year out. He and I reconnect after years of just even digital silence.
Oh, wow.
And I say, hop on the platform, man. scope out the platform, make some connections, get some advice from key people, and let me hop on the call with you and see what I can do. And so since then, we've connected him with, like, he's recently come out to LA from Vegas. We've connected him with like senior leadership out here associated with his new internship. We've connected him with our organization proper. We've connected him with content and assets and resources that are helping him already in his new internship, which is through the DoD Skill Bridge program, where he can serve his like last 6 months in uniform, but as an intern at a facility. And so he pretty much is, by reaching out to me and the platform, he pretty much gets the entirety of my network and resources, where it's, I wouldn't say it's not questioned, but where I can make a warm intro to someone.
Exactly.
If I, and it's golden.
Wow. We talked a couple of years, was it a couple of years ago? I have no idea the timeline here, but we talked to Florent Groberg.
Hell yeah.
Super awesome guy, involved in LinkedIn and everything that LinkedIn does. And he's like, networking is pretty much everything. It's all in who you know. It's who you shake hands with. It's the person that you shook hands with a week ago that you don't remember, but they remember you. So I don't know how to put this into words. It's just, it's your personal connections. And yeah. I super appreciate Heroes Linked. I can't wait to dive into it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, there was someone here in LA. I was part of Bunker Labs for a little bit. I went through the program, like it's an entrepreneurial incubator of sorts for veterans. And then I became like a city leader. And I remember one of the guys in our cohort, he's into a lot of hip hop, and he's a music producer and urban culture, and he's super cool. And I remember him saying, "Your network is your net worth." And I'm like, all right, it's catchy, it's cool.
What? Say that again. Your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
That is 100% at that point.
And I think, for as catchy as it is, I think it's super accurate. And I think both with Heroes Linked and to Flo's point, LinkedIn, when he used to be like one of their ambassadors, is, look, there are good people out there, and partnering up and aligning and just connecting with good people, that leads to endless opportunity. And it might come from a warm intro. It might come from a cold outreach. It might come from Heroes Linked, where people literally have the access to just scroll through the directory, click on someone, say, saw your profile, would love to hop on a call. It can come from anywhere. I mean, I make myself super available, and I do my best to help anyone and like I said, make my network available. But I think I'll just say this about the whole networking thing is, it doesn't have to be self-serving. It never has to be, if I want a job, I better network and I better get the people in high places who can hire me. I think it's the exact opposite. It's the, who am I to the world that they'd even want to connect with me, that they'd even want to receive a call from me, that they even want to have a conversation with me.
It's like the question of what can I offer?
I'd even dial it back and just say, who the fuck am I? Because I've had guys, reach out to me and they're like, oh, I'm the CEO of a company and I see you have needs. Let's hop on a call. And I'm like, yo, bro, that's a hard sell. I don't hit up anyone in that way. I don't imagine walking up to a girl at a bar being like, you're single, I'm single, you're good looking, I'm good looking. Let's make this happen. She's like, what's wrong?
Do it.
Like,
oh my gosh, you're socially inadequate. Me too.
So that's a bitch in response. You're like I am. You're a perfect match. But that's what LinkedIn has become, which is like either robo.
Yes, that's the feeling I get with LinkedIn.
We're just talking about this. It's funny. We were just talking about it. It's so disconnected the way the hiring system is nowadays.
Yeah, I heard that, and I agree. And I'll just say this: you guys hit the nail on the head, which is, it went from like who you know to online, and online the dude is just, or the gal is just submitting an application. It's going to be seen by a computer before it's going to be seen by any human being.
That's so disappointing. It really is.
Keywords will get you hired nowadays.
And if the keywords don't match up, it doesn't make the cut. It goes to the not select file. But the corollary to that is, If you make your resume match what they're asking for, then ta-da. And if you have a warm intro even beforehand, ta-da. And if you really foster a relationship with that company, a year, 2 years in advance of ever applying for a job, suddenly you know what corporate culture looks like, people who work there, what department you want to be a best fit for, what benefits are, where your strengths will be applied. And suddenly it's just not getting a job. It's actually, okay, this is going to be a home for me for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, rather than I got hired, it was a bad fit, and I was gone a year later. There's
a really good emotional maturity level where this is, okay, here I'm doing my job and I'm doing my thing. I'm not a good fit. I'm doing these things. I'm emotionally attached to the program that I'm working on, but I'm just I'm not a good fit. So I'm going to step away. Or there's I don't even know what the corollary for that is. It's I can be a good fit. Someone who's like, I can be a good fit. Let me show you how I can be a good fit. So you craft your resume, but it doesn't make the cut. There's so many veterans out there who are trying, who have skills, but they just can't breach the door. No one's going to talk to them. Is that where Heroes Linked comes into play?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, if put it this way, here's a real world example. Amazon, a good friend, Jeremy Veillon, was a 20-year naval aviator. He retires. He is the epitome of how to properly transition. He retires. He researched the companies he wants to work for. He does see Amazon. He believes Amazon's a good fit for him. And then he starts the courtship process. He starts how to be a competitive applicant. He had spreadsheets, literally spreadsheets up before his any of his interviews, let alone the fact that it took several steps to get there. Right. And of course, he's an asset. He's now, months into his own position with Amazon. He's not in a position to hire vets. And so he lets me know that. I reach out to him. He's a damn good dude. And I say, Jeremy, we share job opportunities with our 2,500 plus advisees who are currently serving, their vets, their spouses, their Gold Star families. I want to share this job with you. And I share it to all of our users. And I say, look, this is a firsthand introduction or a firsthand relationship, a warm introduction. This is reaching out directly to Jeremy Veillon for a specific position. This isn't the HR department. This isn't go online, fill it out, and then tell them what requisition number. This was, hey, here's Jeremy's email. He knows that we're sending you there, and here's how I encourage you to apply, sort of thing. So this isn't, it's not us telling you, go to boeing.com//careers and make sure you do the following. This is, if you want a good job at Boeing, go into Heroes Linked, create a profile in 2 minutes, jump in, immediately search for the title, the keywords Boeing, find an employee who's an advisor, hit, hey, saw that you're at Boeing. I'm this is a veteran. Would love to see if, we might talk about 15 minutes, how I might be a competitive applicant.
So you're back during the algorithm.
Absolutely. And that's the way it should be. Right. Because that guy at Boeing is getting asked, who do you want to work with? He's saying, don't you know any vets that can fill these open slots?
Oh, yeah.
Get an in-house referral bonus that can get an asset to his team. He doesn't have the time to go through his memory, like, who do I know that's available or not available? He's not going to go into Facebook that says, who do I know that's a vet that's looking for a job that wants to come work for me? So this is we work, let me slow down as I get excited, but we try and foster those relationships, not only with advisors, but with HR teams. It says, come pilfer our lot of, like I said, this DoD alumni, come jump in and then scan these folks. They're all vetted. They all go through ID.me to see that they're serving veteran
right
spouse. So we want them to be able to access the corporate world and have that conversation. And we want the corporate world to be able to see them for who they are.
It was really disappointing. It was disheartening for me just after I got out, because my hire with the company that I work for was very personal. It was, I know a guy who knew a guy who knew a guy. I sent him my resume, and then I got a call back and then interview. So it's not like they just gave me a job. I earned that job. I earned that position. But then now with digital technology, it's it's so disheartening. It really is. If you go to Indeed or all the job sites, there's millions of them on the internet that you have to, okay, I'm going to apply for this. And then you get a text back or an email back that says, okay, go to our Lockheed. I'm just using Lockheed as an example. Go to Lockheed.com and fill out a profile. And then, it's just upload your resume. And then if the keywords match, then that's very, very disheartening. So it's really good to know that there's I don't want to say it's a backdoor like you're gaming the system, but networking really means things. I'm really horrible at networking. I'm very bad at it, but it's just to get out of the military and to have a very exemplary skill set and to be a high performer and to need a job or want a job, and then no one pays you they don't look at you because your keywords were wrong.
Yeah. Well, I would say that disheartening struggle is what a lot of folks face. I believe it's unnecessary now, not only because of Heroes Linked. I mean, there are a lot of similar programs, and thank goodness out there, the Veterati's, the American Corporate Partners, Warrior Rising. There's a bunch of orgs that help. Of course, I'm a fan of ours, but I'd say this in the words of advice, if I'm going to dole out any, I would say that disheartening feeling that you had, that I had, that people currently have, it's disheartening for a reason, because it's not an effective path. That job that's posted on Indeed or even LinkedIn Jobs, even though the employer's paying for it to be there at a pretty penny, that's not the job that someone's going to land. I mean, they have a 1 out of 200, 1 out of 500 chance of landing that job statistically. What I would say is, fuck that. It's like what we learned in the military. It's not a war of attrition where we send infantry versus infantry, and just soldier versus soldier. That's World War I. We learned that's not the way to win wars. The way to win wars, as we learned in the past 15 years, regrettably, is asymmetrical warfare. Sending a soft team, sending badass guys with, sending 20 guys who have the impact of 10,000 guys.
Right.
It's, and of course there's regular army. There's 1,000 ways to do things, to take land and to maintain land and control. But my point is, if someone's really looking for a job, I would say, don't spend a fucking minute looking through existing jobs. Spend instead the entire time saying, what do I really want to do? That's in my heart of hearts, either good for me or good for my lifetime or good for my career, or something I can commit to for 5 years, like some introspection and saying, where am I a good fit? Where will I be taken seriously? What do I have some knowledge of that I can be, junior, but be groomed? Or I have a lot of knowledge where someone will immediately recognize, and then start like a true courtship process of, where's a good location? What's a good company? What's a good department? What's a good job title? And then courting that company specifically, like, hey, do they have any public facing events they can attend? Do they have any people who are part of organizations where they might come across each other? It's put this way, no one in Hollywood, this is a dumb parallel, but no one in Hollywood walks into Hollywood, says, I have a script, I'm a no one, will you executive producer pick this up and then pay me a lot of money? Like, you're a fucking idiot.
David, there's a lot of people on the streets of Hollywood, and you probably see them every day. They're like, I'm going to be a star. Here's my script.
Yeah, or I'm an actor. I'm a pretty actor or a handsome actor. Give me a role in your $20 million movie. You're like, no, bro, you have to prove what you've done. And so I think the exact same thing can be said of, actually, I'll just make it military relevant. The parallel is, you don't give the E1, he's not the tactical commander of the vehicle with a experienced platoon who's deployed, or experienced vehicle that's deployed 5-6 times. Absolutely not. He or she doesn't get that. You don't take an E1 and suddenly make him commander, talk commander. And I think it's the same thing when someone's applying for a job, which is, yo, bro, the more we know, or gal, the more we know of you, the more you're part of what our community is, the more you attend our events, the more you've shown us who you are, the easier it is to hire for you, rather than being a complete unknown off the street with a history we really don't understand, sort of thing. And so I would literally say, don't spend a minute on job searching. Instead, spend 20 hours a week on fostering an identity, about who the person is. Start creating content, start pushing out articles, start being a subject matter expert, start having an online identity that's trustworthy. Be apolitical is my 2 cents. So they're risk So they're
That's
not
tough. That's really tough to be apolitical, especially now. That's really tough.
Oh, one bad tweet will ruin in your entire career.
Exactly.
It's been proven. You know, you got to be careful what you say on the internet.
Yeah, but imagine it from the company's perspective where they're like, dude, you can't go walking. If we hire you, you can't walk around and say to anyone, I know I can swear, but I can't even say the words I would say. You can't walk around as an employee of Boeing 4 years in and say, you got a fucking retard beard. They'd be like, you're fired. And so like, why say that online? Sort of thing. And I apologize to the for even using that word. It's not, but it's to illustrate the point of it is awkward that one wrong tweet or one wrong Facebook post and we can lose our job. But the other perspective is we are representing a company that pays us 60 grand, 100 grand, 120 grand. And that company has clients that are paying them millions to
appearances mean things. The appearance of, I mean, you have to have a good appearance.
Yeah. I mean, look, we should be the first people to understand that. We had regs telling us hair length and tattoos and wear the uniform, and I love that beard.
I'm sure right below your collar you're like all tatted out.
Right beneath my finely coiffed hair and my
you got some badass hair. I'm gonna tell you that. It kind of looks blue in the picture, but you got some good hair. You got good hair.
I pushed Air Force regs with it every single day I could.
Oh, you're one of those. Tell me about
straight officer cut. It's just like perfect.
It's like okay. It's not going over the ears. You're like the E4 of the officer corps.
I would walk the barbershop and I'd say, give me the John Stamos, please.
John Stamos cut, please. $5.
A lot of my friends were E4s, so I think you got that right. But yeah, so
we've been talking a bit about Heroes Linked. What's Honor Media?
Well, thanks, man. Thanks for asking. 10-second story.
No, make it 20.
Honor Media is a non-profit media company for the veteran community, and we do two things. We take donor dollars and we convert them to favorable media about the veteran community that really doesn't have a content home otherwise. The good stories about other veteran service organizations, about veterans doing good shit, about corporate America being kind to veterans, about universities having yellow ribbon programs. All the content that just really doesn't live anywhere else because it's not as sensational as the brand new sniper rifle or us launching into war or whatever it might be. And the other thing we do is we uniquely, as a nonprofit, there's only a few nonprofits that do this. We try and serve as a media company, media agency to other folks in the veteran space, primarily like other veteran service organizations. So in a second or less, it's a lot of nonprofits, veteran nonprofits who serve veterans. They might not have social media teams. They might not have chief marketing officers. They might not have content creators, chief strategy officers. And we say, come to us. And to the extent we can do pro bono, we can. Otherwise, we're willing to help you create content, push it out to the veteran community, and let America know about your good deeds.
Or not necessarily create content, just like properly format your content and then push it out.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things we can do. If someone has existing assets they don't know how to leverage, absolutely. We can take it. We can shoot original content. We can do anything that just says, let's have them stop succeeding in silence. Let's have them stop being the cure to cancer that no one knows about.
Right. And
let's share their story near and far so that vets get what they want.
That's beautiful, because there's a lot of I don't want to say VSOs, but there's a lot of people out there that are doing things on behalf of veterans that no one's ever heard about. You've labeled 20 of them, at least 20 of them, and I've heard of none of them.
Yeah. Look, I mean, if in an ideal world, we'd, the informal way of saying this is we're the cheerleader for the veteran space. The proper way of saying it is, it's what you just mentioned there. There are orgs and schools and companies that are hiring vets, that are dealing with TBI, MST, with veteran suicide in really profound, effective ways. I mean, life-changing, successful, proven ways. But neither the veterans know about it nor America. So when people are like, poor vets need our help, the vets need our help, or when they're like, Happy Veterans Day, or thank you for your service, and I'm like, well, tell me a VSO that you're aware of that you could refer someone to. And they're like, what? And I'm like, well, if I'm, man, I got to watch my toes here. Name the movement, like name the cause, the movement. If someone said, I need help, I'd be like, well, have you checked in with this org or this effort or this to help you succeed? But in the veteran community, people are like, go to the VA. And then they go to the VA, and I love you, VA, but it might be a 2-week wait time. It might be a 6-month wait time. They might be denied rating. They might be denied services. And they might be like, guess what? I'm another one in the parking lot. Here we go. Here's a statistic. And what I'm saying is you can call up SAW, Save a Warrior, and in 5 minutes be talking with someone who's like, yo, bro, I hear you. Let's coordinate you for our next in-person event where you're going to come to Welcome Arms in 2 weeks.
And that's another organization that you've mentioned that I've never heard of.
Dude,
there's got to be some kind of spreadsheet that has like, oh my gosh, help for veterans for whatever you need help for is this, 50,000 page, or a 50,000 line. There's so many. There are so many people out there that are trying to help veterans for whatever. You want to find a job, or you have a substance abuse problem, or you need to, for whatever.
Yeah, so VA tried creating that with the National Resource Directory. Let me phrase that. The VA has that.
Yes.
But I don't know, and I mean this, veterans, look, I'm on WTF Moments because it makes me laugh. I follow Black Rifle because it makes me laugh. I follow
that's great.
Jared Taylor because he has a different political view from me, but I respect him enough that I'm willing to hear his political view, sort of thing. And I follow Donnie O'Malley. There are people I follow in our community because it's our community that I respect or revere or want to hear what they have to say because they're our brothers and sisters. I don't go to the VA and search around for resources, but it's there. And that's the tough part, which is saying, hey, E4, E5, E6, or O3, O4, O5, who might be on difficult times, go to the National Resource Directory. And yes, it's clunky. Yes, it's not nearly as easy as ordering Uber Eats. Dude, and I'm glad this is the platform. I would ordinarily be a little bit more candid. I'm just going to say it. I can fuck, eat, buy, shop, travel. I can do anything the fuck I want to, all within seconds on my iPhone through any app I want. Tinder, Grindr, Uber Eats, Uber, Amazon Prime, shopping, content delivery, Netflix, Pornhub, anything within seconds. But if you're like, yo, bro, go to the VA and find a resource for PTS, TBI, MST, and you'd be like, hold on, let me fucking drop a fifth first, and then I'll be back. And so,
dude, I felt that.
That is like the realest thing I've heard in a long time.
So I don't fault any veteran for not using the resource directory because it is clunky and difficult. But I also am like, how do we reach the veteran where they are with the thousands of VSOs and veteran advocacy orgs that are there? And that's what I'm trying to do with Honor Media is say, look, bro, you're my audience, and look, gal, you're my audience. Here's a bitchin' story about someone bitching doing some cool things. We're not passing judgment on you, but if you want a resource, here it is. Check it out, sort of thing.
I think I'm going to be your next new subscriber or applicant.
Thanks, man.
This is awesome. I think it's awesome. I've got a job that I love, and I've been doing it for years, and I'm not looking, but I would love to help other veterans try to find something.
I'll take your voice and make you my director of business development or development. If you don't mind, in a heartbeat, man.
I'm not worthy of that. I appreciate it.
If you grow your hair out a little bit more and maybe consider like hair product.
You know what's crazy is when I joined the Army, I had long ass hair. It was like down to the middle of my back. I joined the Army and they shaved it, and it's been short ever since. I got out in '96, and I spend a wrong amount of money on getting haircuts every year, because if you do the math, it's about $30 every 2 weeks.
Holy hell!
Yeah.
Damn,
I could.
That's a lot of money.
That's like a
Especially
car
back
payment.
in the 90s.
you pay that much money to look that ugly every goddamn month?
Every month. I like the close cropped hair. I'm pretty horrible. I was thinking about this when I was driving back home today from work. I'm like, damn, I spend a lot of money on haircuts. I could
Cut
probably
it out. Let your beautiful locks be beautiful locks.
She's gonna do what I do and just said screw it and say screw the barber, screw the razor blade, and you save a ton of money.
Oh man. And it's COVID. You're not expected to have a tight crop anyway.
Exactly.
I can have the COVID beard. The COVID beard, the COVID hair.
I'll tell you what though, when I'm in the city, man, people leave me alone because I look like a riffraff, and everyone's like, leave that guy alone. I love it.
So David, I see your very beautiful picture. Do you have is there a COVID look for you, or is this it?
Oh, dude, you got me. If we're on camera, like literally last night, my hair, I had a bushy beard, my crazy hair, and my girl doesn't like me making out with her with a prickly face. I'm like, this sucks. So
it's either grow it out all the way or shave it all the way off.
Yeah, and I do like a grungier. I do like a lived-in look for sure.
So you're in the Hollywood area. Do you go to like a bar? Are you guys has Gavin Newsom allowed like local bands to play, and you got some social interactions?
It's funny. There was, when it kicked off, we were watching, the governor's daily brief, and that man, that has taken a toll. That man's lost weight. His face looks, ghastly. He looks hollowed out. Like
Gavin Newsom, really?
Oh yeah, he was that, handsome rat bastard when it kicked off. And he is a tired man now, but he's got a lot on his plate with 34 million people.
He does. He does.
Yeah. Everything is still shut down in LA. We have a lot of virtual events. There are some drive-in events.
You can't go down to the Whiskey and see a band or nothing like that?
Oh no. There's no Sunset Strip is shut down. Hollywood Bowl is shut down. Pantages is shut down. Palladium shut down. The Greek is shut down. Like, Hollywood isn't Hollywood. I mean, my gal and I were like, it was Halloween, obviously last week, and we're like, she loves getting dressed up. And we always have some super cool parties, whether it's Hollywood parties or creative parties or fun parties to go to. And there was nothing, nowhere. And like, not private parties, not, not
you go home and play Xbox. Okay.
Yeah, like we've been shopping at fucking the supermarket and we're like, is this our life right now? But the only comfort was everyone here is in the same boat.
That's a really good point. Everyone's in the same boat.
But this town has become a ghost town. Like so like I said, we're literally by the Hollywood sign, and there's a shit ton of creators, actors, producers, EPs. Like literally, our neighborhood has like A-listers and B-listers living here. Like name dropping A-listers are all around us, and it's cool because we really would see them. We'd see them at the shop. We'd see them at the local cafe. We'd see them at the local market. And it really is like our little protected community, even if the tourists are coming around here because they just want the selfie and they're gone. But in the past several months, since Hollywood's shut down proper, there's vacancy after vacancy after vacancy. There's parking space, which is never possible in this town. Like, it's quiet. No one's casting. People might be shooting commercials because that's still legal, but no one's doing SAG work. No one's doing union work. The studios aren't doing work clearly.
Okay. So step away from SAG or all the union stuff, just to like, buddies getting together and just, shoot something, shoot a short, like some kind of 15-minute, just a bullshit it has no content. Just you and John Cusack and Rob Zombie and all these other guys just get together and just do something for 15 minutes and put that on the internet, and that's gonna sell.
Sounds like Clerks.
Right.
Well, you have a point. I mean, there's a lot of the major like news outlets and media outlets and creative outlets have hit up actors for like exactly what you're saying.
Can you even do anything outside of SAG? If you're in SAG, you can't put anything out without, there's rules.
Correct. They can only appear as self, and that's what they're doing. That's why a lot of folks are like endorsing,
Oh my gosh,
like
I
rock
got
the
it.
vote sort of messages,
Yeah.
or like appearing as self where they are themselves. They're not
A character.
actor or character exactly, because that's that is a pretty big breach. But I hit up Zachary Quinto the other day because we saw him here in the neighborhood, and I messaged him, kind of awkwardly. I messaged him by Instagram, and I've shot stills of a lot of A-listers through local events in Hollywood. It's not my primary thing. It's just, it kind of happens. Like Bob Saget's at a local event, or Mark Hamill, or not Neo, not Morgan Freeman. Like we've just shot a bunch of A-listers. And so I hit him up and said, why are you just taking selfies when I can come over and just shoot bitchin' content of you, phone or video, that you can then use? And so I'm right there with you. It's still nice to be creative. Work keeps me super busy creatively, but I'd still like a little non-work creative component in my life.
Creative people just can't not be creative. They have to do something, or else they're going to get in trouble.
I also think once it's on, it's on. It's hard to turn off. It's hard to be like, it's treasured and valued, and it's immediately rewarded.
Yes.
And it is competitive and cutthroat to be creative. Imagine getting 10 comedians together and being like, all right, I only have spaces for 3 of you for tonight's
Who's going to be most offensive?
or most funny. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
Same way with other creatives. It's like, who can get the best arc? Who can pull out the best plot points? Who can shoot it in the most romantic or visually empowered way? Who can edit in the best way? And so it's a bonkers competitive space, and everyone's work is face value. Everyone can evaluate everyone's work. Like, I don't know if someone's at name the company, I don't look at their spreadsheets or efficiency, or I don't know how good of an employee they are. But if you're a creative, your shit's out there for everyone to view and be critical of, and be like, that was stupid.
You can always Google someone's fucking whatever history.
Or their work. Yeah. I mean, if you're Adam Sandler and you're like, I'm going to stand behind my movies, you're like, all right, you're a clown, you're selling your movies. Or if you're like John Travolta and you make a series of shit movies, like, what opportunities do I have moving forward? But if you're a young director or producer and they're like, dude, your last film was offensive or racist or was shot terribly, like, they're not going to get another gig for a long time.
Oh, so the Hot Wings, what's the Hot Wings show? You
Oh yeah. It's we just talked about it. It's celebs eating hot food until they practically pass out.
Yes.
It's like not Vox, not Mike, not Attention, not Now This. It's like a digital platform that I see. It's like
very much. Yeah. It's all virtual, but they do the stuff in person, which they can't do anymore. But he's made an effort to do it virtually, and he's succeeding. To a point, I guess.
First Feast or Hot Ones?
Hot Ones.
Hot Wings. Hot Ones.
There it is.
Hot Ones.
First We Feast. You're correct with the First We Feast.
There we go. And then look, Matthew McConaughey, Naomi Campbell, Ronda Rousey, Jessica Alba. Like these are A-listers all day long.
There are so many opportunities. There's opportunities out there. So maybe all these Hollywood stars need someone like Heroes Linked, because they're heroes to some people. So they can hook up with y'all and figure out how to make money, because they're actors and they're not acting anymore.
Yeah. So the cool story is, and it took me a while to see this. There's a lot of like actors who are veteran advocates. Like, okay, we know Gary Sinise. We know Gary Sinise has the Gary Sinise Foundation. That dude is God. Like, he's built 20 plus homes to the tune of like $1 million a piece for like guys who've been the most injured in our country, visually impaired, double amputees, triple amputees, paralyzed from C5 down.
Lots of good stuff.
Yeah, he flies World War II veterans to the World War II Museum in Louisiana. Like, he has the Lieutenant Dan band. Like, that man is a god in the veteran community, and he gives constantly to the veteran community. But then there's folks like Scott Eastwood, Clint Eastwood's son, who just starred in The Outpost.
Oh, that was so good. That was very, very good. Emotionally good.
Yeah, written and directed by an Army West Pointer, based on, Jake Tapper's book. Real story.
Is that the one that had Orlando Bloom in it? Huh?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't seen it yet, Don't spoil it, please.
It's on Netflix now. It used to be just on Amazon Prime, and now it's on Netflix.
That movie actually is kind of like one of the best success stories for Hollywood and veterans combined.
Adam Driver. I just wanted to throw his name out there. Marine veteran.
Oh yeah, artists in the armed forces. He's got his nonprofit, sort of thing that takes like really significant classic literature and performs it for folks who are injured typically.
Yeah.
But The Outpost, written and directed by an Army West Pointer, it had Jericho Denman, who is an Army Ranger, as one of the military advisors or consultants. It had the real guys on set. I don't think it had Nut Clinton. I think it had Ryan Pitts on set, who, the Medal of Honor guy that it portrayed. I'm getting my stories a little confused whether it's Clinton Romachet or Ryan Pitts or Ty Carter. Excuse me, Ty Carter. I think they had Ty Carter there, like actually consulting, since he was, I think, at Cop Keating. I might be getting my cops confused, and I apologize. Right now, there's been a lot of coverage recently, but a lot of projects recently. But that's when everything aligns. Hollywood gives a budget. They get proper veterans involved. They get proper A-listers to act it out while still honoring the essence of the story. And so
it was directed by Rod Lurie. The Outpost was. So I mean, Rod Lurie is solid as hell. He was a guest on the show a couple of weeks.
You had him.
Yes.
Oh, bitchin'.
So
good.
It was a well told story from it. It was a well told emotional story, just like from someone who has been there and was advising, just no, that was not right. Do it again, because this is the way that it was. It means so many. It means so much to a veteran to see that was done right.
Yeah, and I think Jericho, who's been a military consultant on a few shows, I think he shared a point of view which is pretty bitchin', and I think it's one of the most insightful things, because his viewers were like, dude, why did they get that wrong? Why did they get wrong? And and he said this, and a few other military consultants or tech consultants have said this, which is, look, every time a military consultant steps on set, and of course they pre-coordinate beforehand with costume and wardrobe and set design and with weapons and the armory, there's obviously a ton of coordination before those cameras are ever rolling, tons of it. But for every time something's not right, that he has to stop something or reroute something, that's a $5, $10, $15,000 a minute to get it right sometimes.
Yeah.
And then ultimately they're like, yo, bro, it's going to be in frame for 1 second. Do we really give a shit? Or, okay, you've corrected us 100 times. The 101st was more than we need. And so there's a balance, they're not there. It is a fictional component based on true stories, and they're not going to get, not a documentary. It's not real footage. It's not source footage. So some things might be accurate to our understanding. And the reality is we're what, 3, 4, 5, 6% of the total viewership of that film.
And that's the veterans who view that, it's like anyone, I mean, the other 94% are going to be like, wow, that was cool. But any veteran that sees that is like, that's fucked up.
It's like the 3M lawsuit.
And it matters. It really matters to an advisor. Anyone who is saying, okay, I am going to tell you the way that things are. And then if the director or whoever goes a different direction, it's like, no.
It's like seeing jacked up uniforms. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to speak on Jericho's behalf, and I'm assuming that guy, having just separated just a few years ago, retired a few years after being in the Ranger teams, not Ranger battalions, that, there was nothing that missed his eye. But again, it was more of a factor of, is this something that the entire crew agrees to, and do they have it available? Are they going to stop for this? Or are they going to pre-record? There's a thousand things going on in motion that have to be considered. So hopefully our community can be a little bit forgiving of a little hiccup here and there.
Guess what, dude? We've been on the air for 90 minutes.
This is a record for us, actually.
This is awesome.
Wow. Is that? I think I get the impression you've already turned off the podcast.
No,
we're still rocking and rolling right now.
We're strong.
All the viewers are gone. They're like, "Fuck this," time to go. watching you Amazon, time to see who won the election.
That's not the truth.
That would be a fake statement.
So, well, look, I'll just say this: if it's time to go, any speaking of apps, any saucy alcohol you guys want me to send you? Any Uber Eats, McDonald's you guys want me to send you or anything? I'm happy to. I've enjoyed this.
My brother, you don't have to send me anything. I really appreciate you spending your time with us, man. You're out there gallivanting in Hollywood. Do I have to say that with a British accent? I don't have that.
Oh, Hollywood. I can't even do it.
Here I am in Hollywood.
If we relaunch events, I should have you guys out here. I'll just tell you a super quick story. If we have 1 minute.
We have all the time you want, man.
Oh hell yeah! So my gal, she's Hollywood proper. Like she is part of the TV Academy that puts on the Emmys and everything else. And so she'd been to the Emmys multiple times, and her friends are some pretty significant folks in Hollywood. And I wasn't aware of this by any means, and so stop me if it sounds familiar, and excuse my naivete, but I didn't know how much Hollywood lobbied TV Academy members for their vote to win the Emmy. I had no clue about the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys, Tonys.
I have no knowledge of how that works. There's a TV show every once in a while.
I didn't even realize there was lobbying for that. No, I didn't realize.
Yeah, so it was a world I knew nothing about, but in 15 seconds or less, the TV Academy is a nonprofit organization that promotes use, culture, production of TV and entertainment, and then there's also the American Motion Picture Association, and there's several other academies and guilds and more that put on award shows, and so she's part of the TV Academy, and by being a member, she has the ability to vote for which shows do and don't receive Emmys. And so
do you influence her?
Oh, I don't, but Hollywood does in the best way. And it's the coolest thing ever. So the studios, the distributors of the show, HBO.
Here's a bouquet of flowers. Please vote for Bob.
Oh, dude, it's 10,000 times more elaborate than
here's
that.
A car.
They'll host a screening of one of their best episodes. So let's say if it's something like America's Got Talent,
okay,
or if it's like the Atlanta show with Donald Glover, or if it's George Clooney's Catch-22. I mean, name the show and a big series. And what they do is they go rent this huge theater, typically at the TV Academy, that seats like 500 people. They bring in the producers, they bring in the actors, they bring in everyone. They screen an episode. They then do a Q&A, and then afterwards there's like this massive open spread reception of like open bar, open food, and all the talent is there. So you're like hobnobbing with the George Clooney's. He was one of the only people that didn't stay because he's ultra A-lister sort of thing. But like Heidi Klum was there, I think, from America's Got Talent,
yeah.
Ice-T, or Ice Cube. Like if they're part of the show, they stay. And so Tanya starts taking these as her plus one. And I'm like, let me get this straight. We can get drunk, we can eat amazing food, and we can hobnob to a certain extent with like other folks in the Hollywood community who produce, write, direct, act, and the talent from these shows themselves. She's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I know what we're doing for the next 6 months.
What does that mean?
So she's been super sweet. She took me to those as her plus one, and then she took me to the Emmys as her guest. And then we got to go to the governor's ball and stuff. And so
when you go to the Emmys, do you like sit way in the back with the riffraff, or
we were mid back. I'll just say that we weren't super far back, but we were, there's several thousand Academy members, and it was at the Microsoft Live Theater in downtown LA. And that's a several thousand seat theater. And I know it's fun. I think the most fun part of it was during commercials, everyone walks around and goofs off. And so I walked around, and there's Benedict Cumberbatch, and there's, everyone who's nominated. And I'm like, oh shit, this is interesting. And so not that I got to hobnob by any means, and not that I had anything to say to any of them by any means whatsoever, but it was kind of fun sharing the same space for them. And then of course they go to their after parties, and, not everyone is invited to those things, but
they go their way, and you go your way.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I mean, that is pretty cool. I like that.
So we're looking forward to those, and if I can, maybe I can gain TV Academy access. In that case, I'd love to bring one of you guys out or both you guys out as my +1.
Oh, that would be blessed. I would be blessed. That would be awesome.
And I would totally tattoo your head and your face and call you an actor or something.
Well, if I have a tattoo above my neckline, that means I really would need to have like a top 10 album or something, you know.
Yeah, that's true. The tattoo.
I don't have any tattoos, so.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm always amazed when he says that.
You know, I spent 9 years in the Army. I was like, no tattoos, no tattoos. I
Like
never got a
rite of
tattoo.
passage
But
to
my
Army.
daughter has it. Both of my daughters and my ex-wife have a tattoo. So,
Cause I think your old school Army, where the only tattoo you could have received would have been with a pen after someone had a deer on a fucking Friday night.
right. We're gonna carve that in your arm. Then we're gonna take a hot pen and poke your skin and hope it takes.
Here's the 101st in your arm, man. Here's the 82nd. Here's a screaming eagle.
I was in the 101st. I was not in the 82nd. So
10? Give me a division, baby. Give me something.
101st.
Were you?
Yes.
There you are. There it is.
4th Infantry. Boom.
Nice.
Your grandfather, your dad or grandfather was. Where was he when they liberated?
Oh, so my father was in just outside of Munich. He was in.
Okay, yeah.
He was in the Dachau concentration camp, and he was. Dachau was one of the first camps I understand to even have 45th, 42nd forces even roll up. I actually think that may have been the first camp where guys showed up, and thank God there was enough pressure from other U.S. forces elsewhere in the country that when those guys showed up, they kind of approached a ghost town with a little bit of with very little resistance.
Right.
And so American lives didn't need to be further lost. But they kind of showed up, and I think they secured the camp.
But for the captors, it was like, really? Is this for real?
Yeah.
It was more like what? Is it? No, this is not happening.
I mean, you can imagine there's no Google, there's no phone, there's no communication chain. They're not getting past updates. It's like prison. They had to, how could information ever be relayed to them, let alone in 45?
Or it's they're fucking with me. No, this is not the person that's going to save my life.
What do you do when your captors have been there every single minute, and then suddenly there's a moment of silence, and suddenly there's some other dude in some other uniform speaking a foreign language with his gun saying, right, hey, guess what? Good news. And you're like, what? So I imagine, to your point, there's a lot of both distrust, disbelief, and then what do you mean the war's over? Like, how is that possible? So I will just say, I'll take advantage of that moment of silence and say that's one of the biggest reasons why I served. And I'll just say, I would drop Heroes Linked and Honor Media, and I would drop my veteran advocacy, and I would drop all my show ideas and drop every effort I'm pursuing if I could kind of return to that do good, freedom for others mission that at least I had when I was serving. Because we did liberate, we kicked out Saddam of Kuwait. They didn't ask to be there. We did kick out the Taliban or suppress the Taliban in Iraq, Afghanistan. We did, kind of overthrow Iraq and Saddam and his own incessant war. I mean, the U.S. has done good things.
We do good things, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm always eager to use our strength to help ensure others are living freely, both on our soil and overseas, sort of thing.
But I don't want to start another conversation, but like good to us, like America, whatever, good to us is evil to others, and I understand that, and I can emotionally capture why someone would resist freedom. Why would you resist freedom? I mean, we're here to free you, but I personally understand why there would be like a group of or a population of people that would be like, what are you doing? This is the way that things are.
Yeah.
This is the way that things have always been. What are you doing? What do you mean I can make my own choices?
Well, I imagine, and I don't mind this. I mean, look, kick us off when you got to kick us off. But I imagine for the person, Iraq, Afghanistan, Korea, for the person who's seen U.S. forces deliver combat operations, it's got to be a little confusing when they also say, by the way, the same person that are carrying guns, the same person that's offering you a new way of living called democracy and freedom and First Amendment rights in your country. They're like, what? You came over to our country, shot our leadership, and you're telling us that we can live a different lifestyle? You're like, do I believe you, E4, who doesn't speak my language from Kentucky? I think you're fucking with me.
You fucking E4s.
Dude. So
E4 Mafia.
David, you've been a very awesome and gracious guest. I super appreciate you being here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is David Tenenbaum. You can check out Heroes Linked. If you go to Google, Heroes Linked, it's heroeslink.org. Honor Media.
Amazing, by the way.
Honor Media, is it honormedia.org?
Exactly. Yep.
Oh my gosh, my phone has listened to me.
Shoot it.
Heroes, American drama series. Ordinary people around the world discover that they have superpowers.
That's funny.
David, you have a superpower, and that is Heroes Linked and Heroes Media. And thank you for everything that you do for the veteran community.
Vice versa. Thanks, gents. Thanks for keeping us laughing. Thanks for keeping it lighthearted, and thanks for keeping us as a community. It means good shit to me.
Yes. And I hope you and your gal are just happy as shit in Hollywood. I hope it opens up, man.
Yeah, that makes a lot of us. A lot of folks would appreciate that for sure. Hopefully we can, on both sides, produce good stuff, and then hopefully people can enjoy it for sure.
I'll be purchasing it because I really like entertainment, and I think you would like our pop culture warrior CQ. He would.
Right.
He would be a very good host for you to just talk the pop culture warrior type stuff.
There we
Tuesday
go.
shows. Check them out. Good show.
Pop culture CQ.
Hey, you got anything to you want to push anything out before we sign off?
I'm good. You've covered everything, man. I super appreciate it. Honor Media.
You got no shameless plugs to throw out, man? Come on.
You just did it. Super thanks, man. Thank you for having me. For anyone, I'll just say for anyone in uniform, transitioning, even 10 years outside of uniform, absolutely check out Heroes Link. It's a way to succeed, period. And then for anyone out there, if you're willing to be part of the Honor Media team, I'm always open to folks who are good editors, producers, writers, creative folks, let alone directors of business development or development in the nonprofit space. So yeah, I need help, and I'd love it from the community for sure.
That's so awesome. Thank you very much, David, for being with us here on WTF Nation Radio.
Thanks, gents.
And you can join us here. When's our next show? Monday. Monday night is the Monday edition. So you can join us then. Thank you all very much for being here, and we're out. Thanks, David.
Thank you, guys.
Is it necessary for me to drink my own urine? No. But I do it anyway because it's sterile and I like the taste.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation
Radio. WTF Nation Radio.